Okay, hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be doing something a little bit different here on Twitch. So I'm also going to be opening up another window and seeing whether or not the quality's working out for me. So we are going to be playing the new Wolf patch, version 2.3.0. Paradox very kindly offered a DLC or a preview key for creator key, content creator key, press key, whatever they call these things. Very kindly offered a key. It's probably not a surprise that I am interested in covering some Stellaris stuff, but it is important never to take these things for granted. Obviously, I hope that I give enough sort of coverage for these games to make it worthwhile. And I hope that you continue to enjoy them as you have, because certainly, yeah, out of everything, it really seems like Stellaris gets quite a bit of attention, quite a bit of excitement. So that's why I'm doing it. Now, there's going to be some adjustments to the quality settings here. I am trying a new version of OBS, which seems to have fewer problems encoding. I'm wondering if there are some sacrifices in quality that I've wound up making, but I've also adjusted my my bitrate, and I'm trying to find a happy medium between what I did on the last cast with Culta Simulator and sort of a I'm trying to think of the best way to put this. I'm trying to find this happy medium in between these two priorities of doing a high quality stream, but also not doing it in such a way that I wind up with. Who is that horrible man? Basically, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to make sure that I retain the transcodes and whatnot, that I have a stream that's accessible for people to be able to watch. But to try and improve the quality of the game. I'm currently playing it at 1440 for myself, but obviously that's not what I'm streaming at because I don't think I have the bandwidth for it to make it still look good. So I'd love it if you guys can give me some feedback in terms of whether or not it's working out. But for now, I'm just going to assume that everything's working, seeing as I could hear my own voice on my mobile. One quick word about this too. I have ordered some food. So the reason why the schedule this week has been such a nightmare. Did I give these guys a backstory? No. All right. Well, these guys are getting the boot. I need to make sure that all of my species have proper biographies, otherwise they're eliminated. Anyways, so the reason why this week's schedule has been such a mess is we've been doing a survey at work. It's part of a training. It's part of a training course. I'm an economist, but they do give us some training in terms of how surveys are done. And one component of that course was to basically just give us some experience actually building up a survey from scratch, conducting the survey, and then we'll do the analysis. The analysis is obviously the part that I feel quite comfortable with. So the thing is that it takes place in another province in Canada, and obviously the hours where you want to collect responses from citizens of a city are not necessarily the hours that one would normally work in the sort of environment that I do. So you work evenings and you work mornings, and this was one of the evening shifts, but I didn't want to just completely eliminate all of the streams, and so I have not had dinner yet. I did order Uber Eats, and it seems that it is on its way right now, so I'm going to very abruptly get up from the stream. Actually, you know what, it's in 10 minutes, so I better get this thing started right away. In 10 minutes, I'm going to get my food. I'm going to try not to eat it on cast. I'm at least just going to have it nearby. but they're like half an hour earlier than they said they were going to be. So anyways, just a heads up, we are going to be looking at Ancient Relics. I'm going to try and give it a full stream, but this is not going to be like my first, okay, we're starting an Ancient Relics playthrough. This is more going to be, I wanted to get a stream in, I want to see what's going on with this, and we'll have as much fun as we can on it on its own. But with that in mind, I am going to, you know, it's going to be a little bit looser because Monday's normally when this stuff happens. So, new story pack coming out. Kind of came out of nowhere, so some of you who like watching my Stellaris stuff will be wondering, well, didn't you say you were going to finish the Rhizome Capital story? Yes, I am, but I had no idea the story pack was coming out this early. Now, I don't know if there's compatibility between the saves. It's entirely possible that there will be. But I'd rather not potentially corrupt the save by continuing on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to deep freeze Rhizome Capital for the time being. I'm going to do a proper stream to give it a send-off on its own. And then what I'm going to do, you know, after I'm going to do a proper send-off, and what we're going to be doing with Ancient Relics is we're going to make a new species and do a proper playthrough with that. That's not what I'm going to do tonight, though. Tonight I'm going to be looking at Ancient Relics. We're just going to kick around. We're going to have some fun. It's going to be sort of like a Kleenex run where I just mess around with some stuff and, you know, and play with it. But the whole species creation and all the stuff that I normally do in terms of a run, that's going to be happening on Monday. So Ancient Relics is a story pack. It's they tend to cost a little bit less than the full expansions like Apocalypse and Utopia and that, but I sometimes feel they're a little underrated. People don't seem to get as excited about them, and yet some of the best content for Stellaris has actually come through story packs. I'm thinking of Leviathans, the first one that brought us the Horizon Signal, although the Horizon Signal is available to everyone. The Leviathans themselves are very noteworthy and interesting additions. The L-Gates came in Distant Stars. And overall, like, I tend to find them, even Synthetic Dawn, right? That's a pretty big headliner too. I always feel like these really add a lot of flavor to the game, and I think I love the expansions. The expansions for this game have been fantastic, but I think as far as a price and content ratio, the story packs I really do feel have packed a punch. And I don't always think they get the recognition that they deserve for how much they've added to the game. Now, because I'm not making a species, I thought that this might be kind of a neat little opportunity. It's not going to be a really like, here's how you start playing Stellaris kind of a stream, but I thought what might be kind of interesting to do to run into this is to show you how, maybe not how I would learn the game, but to do something that I don't normally do. Part of the fun to me about Stellaris is to actually wind up making one of these, species. I am going to actually take one of the ones that are already built. We're just going to run around with that, and like I said, it's a bit of a Kleenex cast, so it's going to be one that I play on a small map, and we just, you know, we have a little bit of fun with the new story pack as a preview, if you will. And so I've never really had an opportunity to try any of these, and I think this is one of the best ways to learn Stellaris, because once you understand the mechanics of the game, then you can let your imagination run wild with some of these species. But if you want to start building a species and you don't really know what anything does, you might feel a certain paralysis in terms of all of the options. So it's also been a while since I've taken a look through this menu, so let's take a look and see what we can find. And if I wind up in a situation, I really hope that the food doesn't arrive before I pick up a species. Oh, Jesus Christ, it's 4 minutes. I'm going to grab my shoes just so that I can leave at the last possible minute, and I'll put them on while I'm going through these. But we're going to go through the different species, and then we're going to hit play, and it looks like there aren't too many people in the cast right now. So if you're lurking, let yourself be known. Let me know if you're comfortable with me doing this. But I'm gonna try and make the time for me to get food as small as possible. I'll be back in a real quick second. Okay, so in my opinion, one of the better ways to learn Stellaris is to pick a a pre-built species, because one, there's enough of them to sort of support a few different play styles, and I think that's important. You're still able to sort of express yourself through your species, even if you didn't design it. But second of all, you know that this is something that the game designers have made. The people, you know, who make Stellaris have said, okay, here's some interesting ideas. We don't think there's anything obviously wrong with the way that this is built up. And so you get all of the benefits of sort of playing something inside of their science fiction universe, but you don't run into sort of the sharp edges of like, oh Jesus, I don't know what these things are supposed to do. So our options are the United Nations of Earth, kind of the Earth as I think we'd like to imagine it. We've got the Commonwealth of Man, which is sort of the I think this is basically sort of humans that were thought to have been lost, and ultimately they brought about this. They had this sort of different society sort of built around sort of survivalism that they wound up with. What I really like about this idea is that you have the same species, but you have two different societies, and I actually wound up doing that in one of my my others. It's not exactly right because I did give them different traits, but there are actually specific reasons as to why they're built that way. I'm kind of tempted to try the Commonwealth of Man. We've got the Killick Cooperative, so this looks like they're communists. A communal species, the Killicks have populated their arboreal homeworld and robust colonies for hundreds of thousands of years. We've got Orbis Consumer Synergies, a megacorp. Now, it's not quite as good as... really not quite as good as Rhizome Capital, so we'll maybe skip over that one for now. We've got the Chinor Combine. Looks like they're also a corporation, private prospectors and ruthless. We've got the Hasbozan Syndicate, so they are also a megacorp. In this case, they're criminal. That might actually be kind of fun. The Vor Technocracy, so they're a technocratic dictatorship. The Vor have evolved during the extended interglacial period of their home planet Hyverion, which eventually began its cyclical transformation to a lifeless globe of ice. This might be kind of an interesting one given the relics. The Trebid Homologue catalog index. I think we might have actually played this at one point. I think I'm going to avoid the machine empires now, not because I don't like them, but I like the idea of relics, of living beings looking for relics. We've got a constitutional dictatorship, the Zanid Suzerain. I can never pronounce this. Suzerainty? The history of the Zanids is a history of the Vlem, carefully bred into sapience over the centuries. Right? A rational consensus, the Loken Machinists. So, machinist technocracy, science and progress. Okay. Hive Mind. It's been a while since I played one of these. I remember these guys didn't used to be a Hive Mind. It was Utopia that changed that. We've got the Malware Caretakers. These are kind of neat guys. Oh. Food's almost here. How close to almost here? I'm gonna feel really bad if you know what? I gotta do this. I'm sorry, guys. Let me just get a quick BRB thing up. I really was not expecting this to be ready at the time that it was. So I'm just gonna put some text down here. All right. I don't think this should take any more than 3 minutes, but let's make that big. Ooh, probably too big. Yeah, again, I'm sorry. This was not a good idea for starting the stream, but I didn't think it would be ready so quickly. So I will be back momentarily. Really sorry about this. Okay, I got a Reuben, and holy crap, I really needed that. All right, I just had one bite, but we should be good to go. Again, I'm sorry this is such a clowny start. But like I said, the idea behind this is going to be kick the tires on Ancient Relics for a little bit, see what we can find, and we'll do our proper playthrough at the beginning. I do kind of like the idea because it is going to be about looking for new, new civilization, or old civilizations rather, and the Holy Tribunal sounds like a really interesting idea. Oh man, Fanatic Xenophile? I was originally going to go for the Vor, but this is a really neat idea that we're looking for holy relics rather than evidence of other species. Okay, we've got an elective monarchy, a theocratic republic, citizen stratocracy, and a military junta. The Blorg have changed. Okay, you know what? Let's divide it between the Vor and the Glebzig Foundation. So we have got. Let me just see. So the Vor evolved during an extended interglacial period on their home planet Hyverion, which eventually began its cyclical transformation back to a lifeless globe of ice. The rapidly changing environment forced the Vor to adapt to using technology and science. United under the draconian rule of a chief scientific officer, they sacrificed their individual freedoms and enhanced their bodies with rudimentary cybernetics to survive. Having conquered the planet that once threatened to freeze them out of existence, the Vor have now set their sights on the stars. Okay. It makes me feel kind of bad. I don't like playing these bad people all the time. And then we've got the Glebzig Foundation. Ever since the first Glebzigi lifted their sight organs above the surface of the glacial lakes on Ladnath to peek at the stars, these inquisitive musculoids have felt an affinity for the unknown. Much as their early ancestors' tentacles grasped and stroked after new objects on the chill alpine lake beds of their homeworld, burgeoning Glebzigian society reached for technological innovation and spiritual enlightenment throughout the centuries that followed. A sedentary and enduring species, the Glebzigi have, perhaps by necessity, developed a complex yet highly effective bureaucratic apparatus for dealing with the intricacies of managing a globally unified society. Additionally, their lack of natural predators on Ladnath has led the Glebzigi to exist in a state of permanently optimistic curiosity regarding other life forms. Having established a firm societal foundation on Ladnath using a mixture of spiritual doctrine and careful organization, the Glebzigi now once more raise their sight organs to what lies beyond. And if you can just give me a quick second here, I want to message someone just to see if we can find some info. I'm just getting somebody to do a quick quality check. All right. Also, I want to remove... There we go. Okay. This seems like a lot more of an interesting species to play, to be completely honest for you. So we've got our Holy Tribunal. It's oligarchic, holds an election every 20 years to select a new ruler. By the way, so this is the first point, like, yes, technically I already know how to play Stellaris, and I don't need to go over all of these details, but this is exactly how, if I were to be hit on the head and need to figure out how to play the game again, this is exactly how I would do it. I just put my mouse over everything and see how it works. So Ladnath is an alpine world. We've got Thirog, who is a male oligarch. So we've got the Holy Tribunal. Oligarchs holds an election every 20 years to select a new ruler. Oligarchic governments are ruled by a small group of individuals that hold all the political power. They've got an exalted priesthood. To guard against heresy, the society is ruled by a religious council consisting of the wisest and most pious members of the clergy. Capital buildings replace some administrator jobs with high priests. Priests produce an additional unity. Efficient bureaucracy. This society is renowned for its efficiency. Not only do the mag trains run on time, but the colossal bureaucratic apparatus required to run an interstellar nation has been greatly streamlined. Administrative capacity by 20. Fanatic xenophile. Increased opinion for other species, cannot use no refugee species policy, cannot enslave entire species, and cannot displace aliens. It improves the trade value. Oh, somebody's... I can't see that name. Why are you doing this to me, Streamlabs? Punky McMonkey, thank you very much for that follow. I am trying some new settings on a new version of OBS, so please let me know if there are any quality problems that you're running into. It would mean a lot to... Have you been on for a while? Did you just keep missing me being on? I've been on for about 20 minutes, Valken, but I did need to get some food, so it's... there's not a lot that's been happening so far. Okay, so here's the thing. If you don't know how this game works, you have a few ideas that have already shown up. So you know there's elections or some kind of government mechanic. There's different buildings, and we know that there are pops. Administrative capacity we don't understand, but apparently you need to keep an eye on how your empire is growing and shrinking. We've got fanatic xenophiles, so there's a bunch of policies. We've got trade, diplomatic influence cost, minus 50%. If there was everything such as an absolute moral imperative, it would be to explore the cosmos and embrace all within it. We were never meant to journey alone. And spiritualist can build temple buildings, cannot use full AI rights policy. It gives us bonus to monthly unities and less for edict costs. So this is important to note here. We've got unity mentioned here. We've got unity mentioned here, which means that maybe the Glebsig, we want to be focusing on taking advantage of a lot of unity. So there are those that think it behooves us to remember how tiny we are, how pointless our lives are in this vast, uncaring universe. What nonsense! The only truth we can ever know is that of our own existence. The universe, in all its apparent glory, is but a dream that we all happen to share. By the way, Valken, I'd love to know any quality details as you go through, because I know you've seen the stream in some other formats. So this is a little bit closer to something I'd like to permanently set up for the stream if I can, but I'd love to know if there's any problems or if it's not working for you. And of course, everybody else, but... okay, so there's sedentary, pop growth from immigration, minus 15%, resettlement cost plus 25%. Sedentary has actually become a little bit harsher now with the new pop system, it looks like. The species has a sedentary past, and its members are reluctant to migrate away from where they grew up. Enduring, leader lifespan plus 20 years. Lifespans in this species are unusually long. Conservationists, pop consumer goods upkeep. Members of the species believe that resources must be conserved and recycled, and they are resilient. Defense army damage plus 50%. Members of the species are physiologically resistant and will fight like enraged brood mothers to defend their worlds. Okay, we're going to do something a little different this time. I'm going to play on a tiny map. I'm just going to keep hammering this away and figuring out where we're at. Oh, there's only two options, ring or elliptical. Well, I'm going to stop, and we've got a ring. I'm also going to take a bite of my sandwich. I'm going to do that off. I'm going to point it away from the mic, though, and I'll just take a quick look at some of the other settings. I don't know if I want to do Commodore or Admiral. Let's try Admiral. I don't think I want to do Grand Admiral yet. Or at least for this. This is supposed to be like a relaxed one, so... Anyways, I'm really sorry about the eating, guys. It's just I haven't had anything since like lunch, so... And lunch was like a coffee. So, I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna get something to stop my stomach growling, and then I can give like 100% focus on the stream. So just give me one more quick second, and we'll be ready to go. You got yourself some ramen for late dinner. That sounds good. Valken, I would have got that, but this was, I thought this was actually gonna work out a little bit better for the stream hours, but this came a bit earlier than I was expecting. All right. In the aeons since the first primitive Glebzig communities took shape in the rugged mountain valleys of Ladnath, our galactic civilization has spread and prospered. As we progressed through the technological ages, there were many religions among our people that contended with each other for followers. Gradually, sometimes peacefully and sometimes less so, the true faith found its way to all corners of our world, and the faithful were united under a single universal church. Now, after the discovery of the Hyperlane network, the finest minds of the Glebzig Foundation have finished development of the first hyperdrives. The stars themselves are finally within our grasp. So, Stellaris, eh? I hear this game's kind of popular. We're on a tiny galaxy. I don't know exactly how many people we've got, but by the way, I hope this is coming through at 60 frames a second, and it looks... I mean, it's not 1440, so it's probably not as beautiful as what I'm looking at, but I hope this is appealing to all of you. But yeah, what do you do in this game? Well, the game has given you a whole bunch of outliners and a whole bunch of different tools to understand it. But one of the things that's really big for me is that Ancient Relics is new, and I have not seen any of the coverage about what's new in the game. Obviously, story packs mean new events, new little housekeeping features, some of which are going to be in the free version, and others which are going to be in the free patch, others which are going to be in the paid DLC. But I've never felt too bad about not watching sort of the preview videos for the very reason that this game, I'd say out of all of the Paradox games, I sort of feel like it's gotten the most love as far as a UI, and it really is something that players have a fairly decent chance at sort of figuring out. So one of the things that I just do is I look at all the menus. So the things I'm familiar with, as far as resources are concerned, we've got the ones that were brought in Megacorps. We've got energy credits, which is basically a currency, minerals, which is our ability to build infrastructure, food, which will affect our growth, consumer goods, which are sort of a refined good. They're going to be the thing that allow us to expand and have sort of higher quality pops. Alloys are going to be a little bit more focused on military. By the way, the game completely explains all of these if you mouse it over. So for instance, alloys are advanced resources with a military application, which we will need to construct ships and star bases, and we can gain more by, and it says all of these different things. We've got influence. Influence represents political clout and is used for many things, including edicts, claims, building outposts, dealing with fractions. And then Unity, and I'm particularly interested in Unity because let's say that I knew nothing about this game. If I took a look at what this species is set up as, I know that I'm generating more Unity than I normally would. So Unity is used to unlock new traditions. We can increase their output by building an Autothon monument or other buildings that provide jobs which produce Unity. So the game has sort of told me, okay, here's this thing you want to build if you want to get more Unity. Now, there's nothing new inside of these resources. We've got physics research. We've got, nothing of this game. So that's something. Oh, well, this will be good. If you have any questions, Valken, let me know because I take a lot of this for granted. Here are my research points. Here are my strategic resources. Those are the same. Empire sprawl, systems, colonies, population, starbase capacity, and naval capacity, all the same from the game before. And by the way, I'll tell you, so all of them, I'm not actually going to go through all of these windows for myself. And the reason is because I actually already know where the new feature is. I took a quick peek at this before I started the game. And if we go under where was it? Traditions and relics. Well, here are where the ancient relics are from. So we haven't found any relics yet. Activate relic for triumph. This, I like the fact that apparently they're talking to the Imperator people. You own Stellaris, but you've never tried playing it because it looks so complicated. Well, Punky McMonkey, I love Stellaris. I've played it quite a bit. So this might actually be a fairly good stream for you. I don't intend this to be a, here is how you learn how to play Stellaris. But I do like really explaining my thought process behind all the actions that I take. So I am playing the new DLC that they're going to be releasing on June the 4th. called Ancient Relics. So there's going to be some stuff in here that you won't have access to until later on in the game. But hopefully I will give you some confidence to try this yourself. And I think you'd followed while I was doing some of the earlier materials. So one of the things that I really believe in a game like this, so there's a pretty good tutorial built inside of it. I don't have the tutorial on, but one of the things that I really like about this game is it does have a few degrees of freedom, which you can reduce. So for instance, I normally like making a species because I find it really creative and I really enjoy doing that in this game. And I didn't do that this time because I don't know how much time I'm going to have to stream, and this is a little bit more on kicking the tires on the new DLC because the embargo lifted today, and I really wanted to get some content done. I normally stream a lot earlier than this. So at the moment here, what I'm kind of doing is I'm orienting myself with some of the new materials because I tend not to follow sort of the previews of the new stuff that's coming out, so I'm a little bit behind the curve as far as the new features. But that's also kind of good for learning because it sort of shows how I go about it. So one of the things that I would recommend to anybody who wants to learn how to play Stellaris, whether or not you decide to build your own species or not, the first thing that you can learn is if you mouse over something, it's always going to tell you more about it. So it's like, what does this little diamond thing mean? Well, that's minerals. Minerals is a collective term for the basic resources that we need to construct ships, stations, and planetary buildings. We can gain more by building mining districts on the surface of colonized planets, using construction ships to build mining stations around mineral-rich planets, or buying more on the market. So it tells you sort of what you need. It says, here are the things that you're gonna use. This is what you usually use these things for. If you find that you don't have enough of them, well, here we're going to tell you a few ways to get them. And Paradox has been getting progressively better at this over time. So how you doing, Medbaver and Valka? It's good to see all of you. So now there's the next question. Is like, okay, but it's all well and good. I can mouse over the 100 million different things in this game, and I'm sure one day I can learn it, but I am absolutely paralyzed. I have no idea what the hell is going on in the game. Please help me. Well, important stuff will usually show up at the top here, and then you've got an outliner, so if you're ever in doubt, click on the stuff here for the alerts. It'll tell you some fires that are currently going on. And then if you're ever lost, just click on the outliner and make sure that sort of the things that... By the way, you can customize... Oh, sorry. I believe you can customize the outliner. You can also make it go away at the very least. But in this particular case, I just find it's like, well, you know what? Paradox thinks I should be caring about this stuff, so I'm going to care about it. I actually might be... Yeah, here you go. You can decide to add and remove things. For some reason, planets? Okay. This actually makes sense that you don't include planets. But yeah, you can customize this thing, but again, if you don't know the game, well, maybe just focus on the things that Paradox says work. Again, guys, just a quick word on quality. If you notice anything different that is not working for you, please let me know. And if it's an improvement, let me know that too, because I'm trying to... I think I'm ready to migrate to a new version of OBS, and it's helpful to sort of know how it's affecting people. So, let's follow my own words. What are these alerts about? Physics research. There are physics technologies available for research. Same deal, so society research and engineering research. So this is basically just telling me, hey, dummy, you're not researching anything right now. So one of the ways that I wind up picking, I always view these kinds of decisions in terms of opportunity cost. So it's not just that I'm pursuing a technology, I'm also considering what opportunities I'm giving up in order to obtain that technology. So for instance, field modulation. I can improve it to gain more energy credits from technicians, or quantum theory, and I'll gain more physics research from researchers. So what do energy credits get me? What does physics research get me? Well, energy credits, energy-backed currency accepted by all spacefaring races. You can gain more energy credits by building generator districts on the surface of colonized planets, using construction ships to build mining stations around energy-rich planets or stars. Or you can always go to the marketplace for stuff like this. But there's a little bit more of a subtle thing I want to pay attention to, which is it doesn't say that I'm just getting a flat plus 20% to my energy credit, so I'm not getting another 0.8 per turn, I'm going to be getting that based on specialists. And I can tell you that the technicians are basically just, it's fair to say jobs. So how much of my energy credit production is actually from these jobs? Well, right now I'm producing 51.97, 13.44 of which is from jobs. So my base is 20, but out of the things that I control, right now my jobs are my largest producer of energy credits, and I'm generating 13.44. So in reality, I'm looking at about a 0.2 increase to energy credits. And then, of course, I want to consider, well, am I going to be building more technicians in the future? Maybe, maybe not. Let's do the same experiment for physics research. Physics research is used to research new technologies. We can increase our output by building research labs, construction ships, and research stations. Where do you found cults? You can found cults in this, Valken. Have you not seen my lantern cult? Oh my god, I had a really good idea, but I'm not going to say it. So right now we're generating 6.72 physics research. And this is from the jobs. We've got a base of 10. So right now, if I were to consider energy credits and physics to be of equal value, I am getting more from the energy credits. On the other hand, I might be saying, well, you know what, my physics is really far behind and I need to move it up, and so maybe it's a good idea for me to put some more inside of these researchers. We'll tell you what, Valken. Just make sure you're here on Monday, and you'll get a chance to see how all that stuff works. So, right now, if I'm just concerned about raw quantity, it's clear that energy credits will get me more. But let's also take a look at a couple of details in terms of what I might be doing with this planet later. So it looks like this planet's particularly good at agriculture, so it looks like it's got a lot of spots available for agricultural districts, although it's important to note that I only have 4 districts available. I will be able to get an additional 3, so I'm still not going to be able to free up all of this stuff for agriculture, but I could get another 7. Still, it would give me more than this. So if anything, I'm gonna focus on agriculture on this planet. And then the other thing that I could say, well, what happens if I want to get more physics research? Well, in that case, I would want to build another research building. And what am I going to build here first? Well, I'm going to build a temple. So essentially, what's happening right now is I'm saying, well, my future plans don't suggest to me that I'm going to be building more pops that generate research or more pops that generate energy for the time being. So the biggest advantage that I'm going to be getting from a physics technology, from physics research is probably the energy credits. And the other reason for that, and this is not obvious to a new player, is that in order to gain a new scientist, you have to pay energy credits. And so in this case, to actually improve my technological capability, I need to pay scientists for it, and as a result, it makes a little more sense. I'll also note that energy credits tend to be involved quite a bit in terms of maintaining a lot of your star bases and all of that. And so as a result, it's not bad to have a fairly decent income just to make sure that you're able to support your expansion and all of that. Now, that's a huge explanation for what is the first decision I'm making in the game. I do not actually do this granular analysis every single time I make a choice in the game. A lot of this is just sort of implicitly in the back of my head. So the key takeaways of this one are not, you need to literally look at every last little aspect of your empire and say, oh god, I am so stressed out. Every single choice is a critical life or death one. But these are some of the principles that I have in mind. It's like, if I pick energy credits, I am not putting research into a fusion reactor, and I'm not putting research into physics. Am I okay with that? Well, a fusion reactor costs a little bit more in terms of research, so it's going to be a bit of a slower development, and I happen to know that fusion reactors, if I put them in my ships, will make my ships cost more, and I currently don't have the infrastructure in place to be able to actually afford those more expensive ships. So yeah, in this particular case, a fusion reactor is not a high priority for my first research. I eliminated that one. I said, okay, so apples to apples, 2,000 on physics, 2,000 on energy. I get more from energy, and I know that energy is going to support my later expansion, and so I picked that one. I'm not going to do the whole song and dance for every single one of these, but this one, 2000, 2000, 2000. I know society is going to be roughly similar to physics. Actually, it looks like I am generating a little bit more in society research, but that's because of... Where is it? I'm pretty sure there was a site that gave me more society. Or maybe it's a feature of the species. Anyways. Hydroponics farming. Now this will give me additional buildings and improvements to spaceports. Not bad, but I also have a fairly decent amount of food, and I sort of know that this planet can support additional food production if I need it. So essentially I'm saying, well, society or planetary unification. Well, I did say I was going to lean into my unity benefits, and then additional edicts, they're okay. But the big thing on this one is if I get an early +2 unity, I'm leaning into a strength that I already have, and so I said I wanted to do that a little bit earlier on. Another argument that I might have would be that this character has expertise in new worlds, and so if one of these had this technology flag where he gets a bonus, I might have considered that. But for now we're going to do planetary unification because it gives me more unity, and that was something I said I wanted to lean into a little bit earlier on. So last one, our engineering research. Again, we've got an improvement to the Corvettes. Now this one's kind of helpful because it makes me build Corvettes faster, and it reduces the cost in terms of building them. So this might be a better long-term improvement. I've got nanomechanics, which will improve my engineering research by 20%. Now this is a 2,000 cost one, so this might... Out of the least expensive, this one sort of makes sense, but I'm actually willing to put the additional 500 points into these standardized Corvette patterns, and it's because that will wind up saving me resources at a time where they're fairly precious. So I'm going to do two changes. Number one, I'm going to take on the standardized Corvette patterns, and I'm also going to put my Maniac on it. So this scientist has the Maniacal trait. It gives them a +5% to research. So I'm going to put them on the harder job to do. By the way, notice that I got an alert because I took a scientist away. I'm putting the Maniacal researcher who has a faster research speed on the more, let's say, costly of the technologies, and I'm going to get the other guy on the research job for the easier technology. It's still going to take longer. It's just not going to be as aggressive of a difference. So society will be done first, then the field modulation, and then the standardized Corvette patterns. So again, anybody who's looking to get into the game is probably finding this kind of analysis very intimidating. A lot of this is just implied in the decisions that I'm making. But one of the things I really like about Stellaris and its complexity is that if you are willing to take the time to learn the game, and you don't need to think this way at the very beginning, but as you start becoming more comfortable with different aspects of the game, you start sort of making these decisions in the back of your head. I'm just making sort of implied decisions a little bit more explicit in terms of the way that I talk about them. So we've dealt with all of the immediate concerns that were at the top of the window. So let's just take a quick look at our outliner. In this case, we've got our capital world. So we've got Ladnith here. Now on Ladnith, we've got our existing districts. We're generating a certain amount of resources. We've got 24 people living on the planet, and we have no jobs available for any future pops. Now, it looks like we're going to be getting +3 a month, or 3.3 a month. So essentially, I have about 30 months before I get another pop. So let's think about what'll happen in 30 months. Well, in 30 months, I'm going to have 19, so we're going to have a pretty decent influx of minerals. We're definitely going to have the resources that we need to be able to build sort of a new site for these new jobs. And maybe a better question is, what do we want to build when we have somebody to work one of these tiles? I already know what the answer is. It's a temple, because the temple will give me additional unity. It'll actually also wind up giving me more society research, so that's going to be an improvement, and it winds up also giving me a little bit in terms of amenities. So this is a particularly strong unit. I'm going to need 200 minerals. Now, they will turn consumer goods into unity and society research, so I might want to keep an eye on where my consumer goods are at. but +7 should be able to handle the existing demands. It'll take 4 when it's running at full capacity, and it will give 2 additional jobs. So I know that as long as I can build one of these things within 30 months, I'll be okay. I'm lacking 100 minerals towards it right now, and it's going to take 240 days to build. So I guess that's, let's give that 10 months. So essentially I want to make sure that I have 20 months. I want to make sure that I have at least 200 set aside within 20 months to make sure that I have somebody to be able to support the, I want to have somebody sort of able to support the infrastructure in order to support the new workers. But this is not an immediate priority, even if I had the minerals, because I know this thing isn't going to be used until a few months later. The corvettes remain useful even if you choose not to build others. Yeah, that's true. And Valken says, sadly, I have to be off for the night. You'll probably see you Monday now. All right, Valken, thank you very much for stopping by. I'm sorry it took me so long to talk through all of this stuff, but always appreciate having you through. Was the stream quality okay for you? I know you weren't around for a while, but I'd love to get some feedback on how this is all working out. Okay, shipyards. So we're sort of fixed in terms of the things that we can build onto the shipyard right now. We've got a shipyard and a trade hub. Not going to build any defenses. I don't really need those at the moment, and I figured the best defense is a good offense. So I can build a corvette with my 100 alloys right now, but of course I know I've got a technology that are going to make these cheaper in the future. So why don't I just hang out for a little while? I'm probably not going to need a corvette right away. I'll see if I can delay the production of these things, build up a savings, and see if there's maybe some other advantages I can get. Looking good, not stuttering, good sound, looks nice and smooth. Awesome, thank you. I don't know if the game's too quiet or not, but if you guys find it is, I can increase the volume a bit. I don't need a construction ship because I already have one. I'll probably get another science ship, and I'll explain that in a little bit. But right now, I don't see any need to build anything in the spaceport right now. And if I do want to build something, it would be a science ship over a corvette, because I know my corvettes are going to become less expensive in the future. The quality of the stream has been lowered slightly, but it's nothing to be concerned about. Would you say the quality of the stream compared to last broadcast, or the quality of the stream compared to, let's say, 2 broadcasts ago? And hey, the Eyes of Sin. I'm also curious about with you about how the stream is looking, because I know you've been checking things out as well. I do know that the resolution is lower. Last time I think I went for the full 1440. The problem is that 1440 at the bit rate that I'm using, it doesn't always work well when I do sort of fast transitions like this. Anyways, so again, we're talking about trade-offs. I am going to potentially save up alloys in order to buy corvettes when they're discounted. I don't need another construction ship because construction ships consume resources in order to perform their actions, and right now I want to get my existing construction ship working at full capacity before I build any other construction ships. Can't afford a colony ship, and I don't have anything to colonize, and so if I'm going to build anything, I'm going to build a science ship, and we'll explain in a little while why we go on. Why we would or would not do that. This is one of my military fleets, so there's not a lot to do with them at the moment. They just look really pretty. Compared to the last broadcast you've watched, which was the Cultist Simulator one. Yeah, so the last Cultist Simulator one definitely went a bit aggressive in terms of its quality. I might even try 1440 again and see how it works. But yeah, other than as long as the resolution's a known factor, if the resolution's the only problem, though, I think that this might be a new permanent setting, because I know the old streams used to be 720, so going up to a 920 horizontal lines, as long as the quality's looking all right, I'm okay. As long as this doesn't result in any drop frames or anything like that, I think I'll be comfortable doing this. Okay, so construction ship. We need to build something. What can we build? Well, if you want a full idea of everything you can build in a system, you just zoom out, you take your system, you right-click, and you can say, well, build me mining stations or build me research stations. Problem is that these really exist for people who already know how the game works. Would not call it a problem, regardless, the resolution's perfectly fine. Great to hear, Ed Baver. Thank you for that. Again, by the way, guys, I am really trying to... I have these twin goals of, like, trying to be really clear about my opening moves, but also sort of like get on with the game. So I know I'm talking fairly rapidly. If you ever want me to go into more detail about something, or if there's something that's not clear, please do speak up. I really do like sharing these games with people. So again, I'm considering trade-offs. What are the things that I can build? Well, if you right-click, I can build a mining station here. Remember that the game did tell us that we can build mining stations if we want more energy credits. We've got society research, a 3 and a 2. And I believe that's it. If you ever want an idea of untapped resources, so here we've got 2 energy credits, 2 mining resources, and 5 society research that is not currently tapped. So what would be the highest priority buildings for me? I'll tell you right off the bat that it is 100 minerals to be able to build a resource. So the highest value is 3 society on this planet. This dominates this, because obviously if I'm going to spend 100 minerals, it's better for me to get 3 society a month rather than 2 society a month. Of course, society is my highest research already, and I know when I build the temple, I'm going to have even more of that. So maybe I don't need to worry about generating as much society because I'm going to be getting it elsewhere. What are some of the other things that I'm concerned about right now? I know I can get 3 society, but is 3 society better than some of my alternatives? Well, I already know the other alternatives because I saw these numbers here. It's either 2 energy or 2 minerals. Am I going to need minerals in the future? Am I going to need energy credits in the future? Yes to both. I'm currently generating 19 minerals right now. I'll tell you that energy credits maintain each new sort of station that I build. And so getting 2 energy credits will not only allow me to hire new leaders, they will also wind up supporting the construction of all of the other buildings here. So while I am definitely going to want more minerals, the thing is that I'm generating almost 20 per month, whereas I'm only generating 4 energy credits, and as I continue to build, I'm going to have fewer and fewer as time goes by. So my priority right now is going to be to build a mining station on Glugaben. And then what I'm going to do after that is I'm going to build a mining station on Malgu, because Malgu is going to be what I use to build additional stations. And then assuming I don't have anything better to do with my construction ship, I'm going to build on Bugden, which will give me 3 society. What that will do is effectively Gulbagen's energy will be sort of consumed by Malgu and Bugden's energy consumption. So the net will be 2 extra minerals, 3 extra society, and then I'll decide later on if I want Magdur. So again, I'm not going to do this each time I build something, but these are the sorts of things that I think about. I know I have 100 minerals. I'm not going to build it. I'm not going to use them on the capital because there's nobody to work those resources right away. So I know I'm going to build something in space, and my first choice in this case is to build energy credits because I know it will support the construction of additional infrastructure. Final question is science ships. Now, science ships are basically it's almost like that first settler and first warrior in Civilization. These things are the only ones that can go in unexplored tiles, and so this is going to be determining what my future sort of expansion looks like. In this particular case here, I'm going to build 2 science ships eventually. This guy's going to go south, the other guy's going to go north, although north and south aren't really the right terms in terms of space. And in this case, it's a purely arbitrary choice. In this case, I'm going to take this guy down here. We'll get him to explore these. So as the science ship is exploring, it's going to show me more of the hyperlane pathways, and as it explores these areas, I'm going to find new planets, I'm going to find new relics, and I'm going to find new resources that I might potentially exploit. And so what we've done here, I know that was really wordy, and it may not be obvious how to do everything in the game. The tutorial will explain everything at the start anyway. But I've kind of got all of my resources working. We'll now unpause and we'll sort of watch this stuff unfold. I'm going to keep it on the normal speed because this will also be an opportunity for me to chow down. And it'll also be an opportunity for me to ask the Eyes of Sin, how are you doing? I hope you are feeling well. And how was your day? I know we talked a little bit about it on Discord, but I would love to know more. In fact, how is everyone's day going? But in particular, the Eyes of Sin, because she's the one who gave me some lovely emotes, which both Eyes of Sin and Ed Baver currently have access to. actually what I'm going to do, so you have something a little more exciting to watch while I chow down. Let's watch our intrepid science ship. We'll watch them do their rounds while I enjoy a little bit of my Reuben. It's a very photogenic game.
Construction complete.
GLB Kareg has completed the construction of a mining station in the orbit of Glubagan. So there's not much I can do right now because I only have 49 minerals, but we already know what the new plan was. So I'm going to wait. I'm going to hold over when I get my 5 minerals. Actually, we can enter the orbit right now. And then I'm going to click on building the mining station once the month turns over. Oh, very nice, Isaacson. Is it relaxing rain or is it stressful rain? It's like King Lear Lane rain. So this guy's just busy exploring the different locations. We'll see what happens. We'll see what he's found over time. But right now, I'm chowing down. So I just want I want something that looks pretty to show you guys while I take care of all this. You'll definitely try this game once you're home. You don't have it installed on the laptop you're on currently. So are you traveling or are you in school? What has kept you from your beloved machine? And I'm glad you're encouraged to try this game out. I don't know if you've played other Paradox games. Paradox games ask a lot of their players up front, but the deal is if you're willing to put the time into them, you will find hundreds of hours to be
Construction complete.
Like, hundreds of hours is not an uncommon time to put into Paradox games. There is so much support for them, and they just continue to put polishes and new features in these games over years, that there's always something new to find, and the games are just so deep that you just have these wonderful opportunities to really lose yourself inside of them. And Stellaris in particular is it's just such a feast for the eyes. You really get to just live out every science fiction book you've ever read if you want to. So, oh, you're at work. Okay, so you're not a long time away from from Stellaris. That's really cool. I will let you know. So, I don't mean to be too mercenary about this, but if you want, I do a Paradox game every Monday. So if you have any questions about Stellaris, and if you find my explanations useful, do not be shy about coming in and asking questions and stuff like that. I love sharing games like this with people. And if you're really struggling with something, I am more than happy. It doesn't even matter if I'm in the middle of a giant space battle. You're just like, hey, I'm running into this problem. How do I fix it? I will absolutely take the time to answer them, because I tend to find that kind of interaction is really positive. And more importantly, you might find some other people inside a chat who are a little bit more effective at answering the particular questions that you have, and so they will, they might be able to give you an answer that I normally wouldn't, and so that'll give you access to those kinds of resources as well.
Construction complete. All
right, so let's take a quick pause here. We just finished the immediate plans that we had for our empire, right? We've got sort of the energy, we've got the minerals, the society. The one thing that I didn't do was build the science ship that I was planning on. So it cost me 100 alloys to build the science ship. The reason I was holding off on the on building it was because of the energy credits. I've got 288 now, and I only need 200 to be able to hire a new leader. So this is a little bit of a delay for me. I've delayed my additional exploration, and it's pretty obvious why I want to have a second ship to just be exploring all of these areas to see potential improvements. But other than that, we're okay. I do need to start thinking a little bit about whether or not I want to build that temple. Now, one thing that's kind of helpful here is I can get an idea in terms of what my costs are going to be for upgrades. I believe it's something like 75 alloys to expand my borders, so I know I'm not going to need a lot of minerals in the immediate future. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one last build on the station. By the way, I feel like our energy credits went up by quite a bit. I'm assuming this is because of the work. Yeah, it looks like the jobs actually got populated, so my numbers are off, I believe. Well, one way or the other, we're okay. 100 LAs? Oh, that's right. So I always keep thinking of discount, or maybe I'm thinking of influence. I remember there's like a discount that you get to them. Anyways, one way or the other. I know that for expansion, I'm gonna pay in alloys, and this means that my minerals become, they're like, I'm gonna be able to dedicate them towards other things while I build additional stations. So I'm okay there. So I'm just taking a minute to reorient myself in front of the computer. Like I said, guys, this is a little bit of a looser cast than I normally would like, and this is just purely because I'm. Hey, Kai LB, thank you very much for the host. How are you doing? All right. So where was I? Yeah, so the net amount that I'm going to be paying, I'm going to be paying the 100 minerals, and we'll technically be 1 energy down, although I did originally think, I built this whole plan around saying that I was generating 4 energy. We're already on our way to building the science ship, so that's going to take us 60 days. And what I need to start thinking about now is, where's my first expansion going to be? This doesn't have a planet in it, but the problem is we don't have any information on any of the other potential locations for colonization. Okay, I'm okay with that. So at the moment, we're just going to let the science ships do... All right, we finished that. So a small rectangular... Newness 5. A small rectangular object on the surface of this planet is deflecting all scanning beams like a mirror. Our sensors are unable to determine its mineral composition. So this is a routine difficulty. It's one higher skill level, so it does take a little bit more research time, but I'm willing to investigate this anomaly, so we'll do the research. And this guy's if you're ever curious about how to do this, you hold down Shift, and then either you can do the survey through these options here. I always right-click and pick menu items because I tend to find that they're a little bit better for educating people in terms of the actions that I'm taking rather than me saying it out loud. But we already know that this guy's going to be examining down south. We're going to have a ship that explores sort of the north in a little bit, and that will allow us to make some expansion decisions in terms of what the most attractive planets are. Right now, all that I would really be getting from this system is 2 energy, although it of course is a gateway to all these other systems. So maybe I'll want to take it, but it's not obvious that I'll do that. Construction ship has a little way to go, so let's watch the science ship do its magic. Let's watch the science ship do its magic. I'll also show you can look at details on the planet. Even though the planets don't really do anything in this case, I can show you some of the details on them. But I am going to...
complete.
I'm going to chow down. Oh, but I'm going to get the science ship populated first. Okay, so I was a little bit late in building this. We've now got 314 energy credits, so I should have built this ship a little bit earlier. But science ships on their own aren't that helpful. You can make them evasive, you can move them around, but you can't survey, you can't research anything without a science officer. So we'll recruit. All the characters in this game do have lifespans. So in this case, this guy's he's age 31. Once they reach 100 years old, they start getting a little more fragile. I'm going to do something a little bit different here. I'm going to start by recruiting him into this into this main screen, so 31. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take one of the scientists who was working on technology. I'm actually going to put them on this ship, and the reason for that is that they have this trait called resilient. It gives them a longer lifespan. But one of the big things about this is that it's not obvious that this is good for the lab, whereas expertise propulsion will improve the research speed of some particular technologies. So in this particular case here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take Toolbig, I'm going to put them on the science ship. So are you sure you want to reassign this leader? Yes. And then now I'm going to take my sort of my better research-oriented scientist, and I'm going to stick them in research. Now again, I'm not getting that advantage right away. What I am going to get, though, is that when I do a project on propulsion, they're going to become a little bit more useful to me. So, all right, where are we? Right, I wanted the science ship to actually do something, so I'm going to fill in this gap here. These are always tricky because they've got... There's always going to be like a repeated element to them. But here's what I think I'm going to do. This is going to be a weird path that I build. Oh, wow. I didn't realize those guys were so close together. All right. This will just give them something to think about. Alright, I also said I was going to show... So there's different planet types. Not all of them are colonizable. So for instance, this planet is a rocky planet with a thick atmosphere that is lethal to all known higher forms of light. So newness 2. Why is it so unpleasant? Sorry. Just dealing with something soggy. It is a toxic world, a rocky planet with a thick atmosphere that is lethal to all higher known forms of life. Now, some planets you can wind up terraforming, but we don't have the technology for it. Terrestrial sculpting is definitely a more advanced technology. And if you ever want to look at more beautiful worlds, well, here's a barren world. What does it look like? Kind of looks like the moon. But yeah, so you can get details on all the different worlds, but what we're really looking for here is something that looks like our home planet. So it's an alpine world. So long as it's somewhere within this class of planet, we'll be in good shape. If it's something like a desert world, we're going to be in trouble, but we'll be able to tolerate something like a frozen world and whatnot. Let's also just take a quick look at my population. So we're halfway to getting a new pop, and we don't have any new jobs for them. If you ever want to know that, the number of hard hats shows you the number of jobs, or particularly the available jobs. We've also got housing and amenities. So we're okay for all of these things. We'll get some more amenities when we build the temple, but that's going to be my next priority in a little while. So let's go back to watching our intrepid adventurer. And I'm going to enjoy a couple more bites of my delicious Reuben sandwich.
Construction complete.
No, I'm not. I forgot my traditions. Sorry. Okay. Sorry. It's done now, so... We're talking about Unity. This is what we use Unity for. You get traditions. We have a few different options available to us. So, expansion, we must expand our civilization to new systems and planets or risk eventual extinction. Domination, if we do not impose our will on others, they will inevitably oppose theirs on us. Prosperity, there is no better indicator of the success or failure of a star nation than the strength of its economy. Harmony, few things can match the strength of a content populace working towards a common goal. Supremacy, the future of this galaxy belongs to those strong enough to seize it. Diplomacy, the surest way to destroy your enemies is to make them your friends. And discovery, our curiosity about the universe is what got us this far, and there is still so much left to discover. Now, unlike a lot of sort of 4X style games, discovery is not immediately automatically the best option. This is a little bit more of a balanced system, I tend to find. What I tend to do is go for expansion early, and especially because we're on a small map, I really think this is the way to go, because ultimately there's going to be a bit of a land grab, and if I don't get my piece of the pie, I'm going to have to fight for it, and I am xenophilic, so I may not particularly like the idea of exterminating my neighbors. So I am going to go for the expansion path. Adopting it will give me a bonus to colony development speed, but later on it's also going to reduce the cost of influence. It's going to give me it's going to cost. I'm going to get basically free pops when I expand and I build new colonies and such. So this one really does tend to line up very well with the way that I play early on in the game, which is to try and expand quite quickly, and to try and get as many people working as many tiles as possible. So I'm going to start by adopting expansion. We'll worry about what the next trees are, and then of course the nice thing is, now that we made a decision here, I can forego the next tree until we have a little bit of an idea of what our position looks like. So we're okay with this survey, construction. Okay, there we go. All right, mass extinction. Our first stumbling steps into the void beyond Ladnath were not motivated solely by curiosity or a desire to conquer the unknown or a need to leave our mark on the galaxy. The biosphere of Ladna has undergone rapid changes in the past few centuries, and prominent scientists warn that Ladna may be faced with the beginnings of a mass extinction event, that cyclical purging of life that is inseparable from planetary existence in the greater cosmos. A research plan has been put together to study a number of planets rendered uninhabitable by major astronomical incidents or planet-bound catastrophes. We hope that by researching these events, a similar fate may be avoided on Ladna and the Glebsing race. It falls to you as High Inquisitor of the Glebsing Foundation to ensure that this expedition is carried out. Consult the situation log for details. And so, for a Glebzigian future...
Situation log updated.
Alright, so, to avoid a potential apocalypse on Ladna, we must study the effects that major calamities have had on other planets. So, essentially what we're going to do here is we're going to reconstruct 5 mass extinctions. If I want to see the 5 planets, we've got a broken planet, a burned planet, a chilly planet, a desolate planet, and a noxious planet. But what's probably a little bit more convenient for most people is just to hit the track all on the map. And looks like we've got another task for my research ship. So I'll actually put that there. Oh, crap. I messed up on this research. That's weird, though. Alright, well that's unfortunate, because I'm pretty sure I just wasted all that time on that anomaly for no reason. But that's life. Hey, Sniper Guy Gaming, thank you very much for the host. I have to assume that you've been playing Stellaris. Oh wait, you were playing Stellaris with Cool Eagle, weren't you? Where's that cool guy? Hey, and we've got the Cool Eagle. I don't have a raid message yet, so Sniper Guy Gaming gets the advertisement. Who the hell is the Cool Eagle? No, thank you guys. 19 of you are in here. Obviously, these guys have been playing a lot of Ancient Relics and having a good time with it. How do you guys... Okay, so Sniper Guy Gaming says Ancient Relics is so cool. Clean Dev, whoa, Bert. Yeah, I feel kind of bad because actually Cool Eagle says incredibly nice things about me during my broadcasts, and I have betrayed him. Yeah, I had a late day at work. I've been chowing down on a Reuben, which I walked away from the cast in order to obtain. I have definitely been amateur hour here tonight, but I really appreciate you guys stopping by. Some of you from Cool Eagle's chat will be able to figure out whether or not he's telling the truth about me being a decent broadcaster. But I'm System Shock. I was playing Cultist Simulator on Steam yesterday. There were a lot more people there than there are here. But Cleanodev knows me. Cleanodev's a cool guy. And Sniper Guy was winning. It was amazing. Poor Cool Eagle. So here's a question for you guys. First of all, I'd love to know more about you. I'd also love to know why you guys watch Sniper Guy Gaming and the Cool Eagle, because both of them... Let's take a quick minute here. We've got Magna Draconis says, hello, dude. You'll be lurking for now. Might be going to bed soon. Not a problem at all, Magna. It means a lot that a lot of you have come along with these two streamers. But I also know that you sign up for that streamer, not the person that they follow afterwards. The best that a broadcaster can ask for is an opportunity to entertain you. You've all given me that. I'm very grateful for it. I am the first to say that I am not for everyone, for sure. And this is, I just want to be really clear. This one is just me kicking the tires on. This is just me kicking the tires on Ancient Relics. I actually went for the. This is a pre-built race from Paradox. Doesn't mean I'm not going to have fun with it. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to be doing anything with it. But this was definitely me, like, I know I'm going to be late at work. I don't know if I'm going to be able to cast, but I really do want to do Ancient Relics today because, of course, the embargo lifted, and it's fun to share stuff like this. And, you know, sometimes you just want to let your hair down and have a little bit of fun with a game. I love Stellaris, so I was so excited to be doing this. But what was I going to say? Yes, okay, these wonderful streamers here. I know the Cool Eagle a little bit better than Sniper Guy Gaming. I apologize for that. I don't want to sound insincere. This is actually one of the reasons, by the way, guys, because there is a massive number of people, definitely relative to the number of people I was streaming to, there are far more people who are unfamiliar with my channel here than there are people who are familiar with my stuff. So definitely, if you want, sell me on the Cool Eagle and sell me on Sniper Guy Gaming, because I'm sure there's some people who are lurking who are not familiar with them, and I'll do my best to try and promote both of them to you. But I definitely feel like it's an opportunity for you to maybe talk about some aspects that I might be missing. But I'll let you know, the Cool Eagle winds up playing a lot of Battletech, and I like Battletech a lot, but I have not been playing a lot of it. So the Cool Eagle is kind of my go-to guy for Battletech stuff. He's also been playing a mod which I can never remember the name of. It's like Rogue Tech or something like that. He's a ton of fun to watch with that. Does a lot of sort of sci-fi strategy style games. Did not do Imperator Rome. Not that that's sci-fi, but I'll eventually forgive him for that. But he's a wonderful Stellaris streamer to watch. I tend to host him quite a bit when I'm doing Stellaris. And Sniper Guy, I don't recall. I feel like you do Battletech, but to be honest, I haven't actually seen you stream Battletech, so I could be completely making that up because you came in with Cool Eagle. Am I wrong in saying that? And what else did we have? I just want to catch up with everybody else inside here. Sniper Guy says, just you wait, Kegel, I'm going to get my army up and begin the enslavement. Cool Eagle says, your favorite part is that you are authoritarian and you're best buds with the other authoritarian empires. Magna Draconis says you bought the game tonight. You hope you can learn it. Well, Magna, if Cool Eagle is not streaming, I love doing. One thing that people tend to comment a lot on my streams is that I explain a lot of what I'm doing. It means that I go slower than some other streamers, but if you ever want explanations behind my strategy and how things are going, I am very open to explaining in excruciating detail anything that people want to know. So don't let me pull you away from these other fine guys. But the nice thing is that Twitch, of course, is not a zero-sum game. So if you'd find it helpful, I do tend to do Paradox games on Mondays. If you ever come in Monday with a question, even if I'm playing something like Imperator, I'll absolutely do my best to help you. But of course, we're going to be doing a lot of Stellaris for the foreseeable future. So, you know, Now is a particularly good time to ask those questions if you can't get them answered in your existing channels. Kegel and I have been best buds forever, and his streams are fun because the things usually go terribly wrong for him when he does roguelikes. Sniper Guy says, you did a little Battletech way back, but I mostly do stuff like Magic the Gathering Arena and all sorts of variety things. Also, a lot of Twitch sings recently. All right, I really blew it on your introduction then. Magda Draconis says, the Cool Eagle plays a lot of city building sims, strategy games, and roguelikes. Oh yeah, I also need to shout out the Cool Eagle for his wonderful Surviving Mars streams. He's actually much further in Surviving Mars than I am, but oh my god, I love Green Planet. Surviving Mars is such a good game. And Kegel is best to watch when you're feeling down on yourself and think you're bad at games. It's so... I feel so bad for Cool Eagle because he's the butt of so many jokes, but he is such a nice guy, and I think he's perfectly fine at games. It's just really fun to play on that topic. Anyways, on with the events. Mass extinction, the noxious planet. Allegedly, this planet's flora and fauna choked on their own poisonous emissions, likely helped along by the release of reactive gases from beneath the planet's crust. A special project has been issued to investigate the matter.
Situation log updated.
So what happened here? Okay, well, this is not surprising. This is my existing ship already doing its deal, so I'm hoping it recovered the investigation on Nunes 5 already, but if it didn't, it didn't. And this guy's already making an executive decision to expand the borders to Nunes. This is just largely because I'm fairly certain that I'm going to have all of these systems anyway, and it keeps my construction ship doing something. The extra energy is nice to have. It's not the sort of thing that I would, like, burn down the galaxy in order to get, but it's nice. Alright, so the anomaly has been investigated on the frozen world. While conducting surface scans on Nunes 5, Science Officer Tarush and his crew of the GLB Adlog discovered what appears to be an artificially carved slab of rock covered in alien writing. They have not detected any other signs of alien activity on the planet, and exactly how this mural came to be here is a mystery. We have prepared a special project to translate the text. What will it cost us? Fascinating.
Situation log updated.
Okay, so we need another science ship. Well, here's how I'm going to handle that. We'll do that for a special project, then we'll do that special project, and then eventually we'll move on with our actual goal, which is to study the different systems and figure out where I should be expanding. All right, have a good night, Sniper Guy Gaming. Thank you very much for the host, especially because I'm a stranger in a strange land who apparently does not know enough about your Magic the Gathering habit, which you seem to do very regularly. Apologies for that. That was very good of you to give me that host.
Anomaly found.
Dumpster fires are more interesting to watch than the smooth campaign. Okay, so the Cool Eagle. I work in... Who did that? Magna Draconis, thank you very much for that host. I need to let you guys know. So I work in Ottawa, which is the capital of Canada, for those of you unfamiliar with Canadian geography. You guys' capital is LA, right? In the States? No. So we have a parliament. We don't have a Congress. And we had, a couple of weeks ago, an actual fire in a dumpster in Parliament at a time where there's a lot of very clowny things going on in our government. So this was roughly around the point that I figured whoever is writing 2019 has just really started to phone it in. And yeah. Hello to you, Western neighbor. Are you in Quebec, Magna Draconis? All right, contact report remnants. Glebsian xenologists are practically falling over themselves to publish their takes on the recent findings of alien life. This fevered storm in the scientific community has had some negative yet temporary impact on pursuits in other fields. Hey, very nice. Yeah, at this point, so for those of you unfamiliar with Canada, Ottawa, like, I could probably, from where I'm in my apartment right now, I could probably walk into the province that Magna Draconis lives in about 15 minutes. Cleaner Dev says Kegel is the best streamer you know at highlight long periods, middle gameplay without spoiling the playthrough with endgame content. Oh, you're savage. All right, while scanning the asteroid belt, our science team found some sort of irregularity. Now, this is a really long one, but I'm going to take advantage of it. So the reason why this one's going to take a long time is because I've got a fairly junior scientist studying a level 6 anomaly. Odd readings while scanning the asteroid belt, our scientist team found sort of irregularity. I'm going for it just because it's fairly early on. And I already have another science ship that's working on some fairly easy searches, so I know I'm going to have some other systems that I can find. But this is one that I wouldn't possibly want to reconsider, depending on how active my expansion was and whether or not I was successfully pulling it off. Magna says, French-born, French-raised, but is more at ease with English to the point where some people can't tell at first that your first and most spoken language is French. That's really interesting. I've struggled to really get a grasp of French. I've started watching some more French streamers like El Canu, but the big challenge that I have is that when I study French, like, I understand how talking about food is really helpful for learning things like the partitive article and things along those lines. But the thing is that I never really talk about food. I tend to talk about, economics and I video games and topics like that. So it's really difficult sometimes to have natural conversations. And I understand you kind of need to walk before you run. But even though I work in a government town where there's really an advantage to having both official languages, I've still not got enough of a grasp in French that I would be able to really hold my own in a conversation. So French is stupid with how many grammar rules and exceptions and verb tenses it has. Well, I know I don't disagree, but it's not like English does not have its own wacky conventions. Like, I definitely have benefited from the fact that I was born into it. Cool Eagle should do a KSP. You know what? I was looking at my old highlights. My first 2 highlights are Kerbal Space Program. Admittedly, they were from times when I wasn't regularly broadcasting, but Kerbal Space Program was actually the very first video I ever put on. It was the first video that I ever put on Twitch. All right, mass extinction toxic. The cracks in the planet's crust, first presumed to be a result of significant tectonic activity, are actually the lasting marks of impossibly large roots burrowing through the Earth. At some point in the distant past, a freak mutation, possibly deliberately induced by sapient beings, though it is unlikely they could have predicted the result, caused the native plant life to grow out of control. Many of these plants reproduce through pollination, with countless gametes carried by currents through the lower atmosphere. While this process was originally the only cause for mild irritation, the exponential increase in atmosphere-borne particles effectively choked all the life out of animals on the planet in a matter of months. So, there's more experience. It's not just that these are like random characters. They do have experience points and they can develop over time. And one of the ways that you can do that, of course, is by actually fulfilling some of these missions. Okay, so let's get ourselves some energy. That's the whole reason why we built this thing. And likely this construction ship's going to be sitting idle while we try and get ourselves another system, but I can live with that. Yeah, in a way you didn't learn about contractions till the 6th grade, and when you did, you're like, what's that? Yeah, I mean, every language kind of has its own quirks. By the way, I do need to really worry about that population. I might be a little slow in building this temple, but oh, I didn't realize it was days. Okay, we're definitely going to have this thing in time. We have 3 months, really. I'm glad I checked that, though. So, as you can see, the plan that we had in mind, try and make the most of the resources that we have. We're definitely a little bit behind in terms of energy credits, but we're behind in energy credits because we've been expanding. The only thing that I'm not 100% happy with is the fact that I took this planet over the others, but it was a roll of the dice in terms of which planet we would take first. I'm sure the ones up here are probably going to be a little bit nicer. There might even be some cool things in this system.
Construction complete.
You'll notice that this planet and this planet have not been explored yet, so it doesn't tell me what the different items are, but you can't have everything. So, finish constructing the mining station. There's really nothing for my construction ship to do. There's not a huge advantage for me sending it back home, but I think it's entirely possible. Actually, you know what? Even with the anomalies, I bet this guy's going to examine this planet first. But yeah, basically right now I'm going to put the construction ship on ice just so we can wait for the other stuff. And looks like we do have an unemployed pop, so that was I was very optimistic in terms of the time it would take. So that was the other dilemma, is that I certainly had more than enough minerals to be able to build that temple. I just got a little sidetracked in terms of some of the other stuff that I was doing. So. Now you'll notice that we unlocked a new building slot. This is because we are now up to 25 pops.
Special project complete.
Every 5 pops you get another spot for a specialist building, although it doesn't always necessarily make sense to build them all right away because you may not necessarily know what your society needs at any given point. Cool Eagle says, but yeah, people from your stream who are still here, you should follow System Chalk. He's great. Oh, that's very kind of you to say, Cool Eagle. Again, I'm not exactly phoning it in tonight, but I'm definitely doing a much looser stream than you're probably used to. So I appreciate the attention. I definitely appreciate the bodies. It's always nice to get a little bit of validation, especially when I have a late start, so my regulars tend not to be here. But thank you. You're much better at advertising my stream than I am. He's smart and uses big words like Adam Bright. All right, special project completed. Science officer Tarush has managed to partially translate the alien mural discovered on Nunis 5. It is a memorial for an extinct alien race that once maintained a small interstellar empire in this region of the galaxy. They were apparently exterminated by the creators of the mural, a fact that they later seemed to regret. Given that the mural has been dated to be in excess of 300 million years old, it is likely that its creators are also extinct by now. Perhaps most interesting of all is that the material the mural was made of. Despite its age, it is in remarkably good condition. So the scientist that was investigating that gets 200 experience, and we gain 113 engineering research. Let's think a little bit. By the way, I didn't talk about this before. This has been added in Ancient Relics. So apparently we can do a little bit more automation. This definitely is very welcome after I had the big sprawling, Rhizome Capital playthrough. I definitely feel like this automation is a welcome addition. Okay. We've got reach for the stars. The frontiers of our star nation are being pushed ever forwards. Soon, nothing in the galaxy will lie beyond our grasp, and our star-base influence cost will be reduced by 10%, or colonization fever. Colonization fever seems to have gripped the population. Their enthusiasm and patriotic fervor draws additional population to new colonies. The only other thing that I would want to consider, so I don't have any planets I can colonize yet. It seems to make the most sense that I would reduce the cost of starbases first. The only thing that I might do to go down one of these trees ahead of time would be if there's a particularly strong upgrade that follows colonization fever. And in this case, it's new life. That's a plus 10% to pop growth speed. It's certainly not a bad one to have. But at this point, I think reducing the influence costs of expanding, we're definitely in an expansion mode. So being able to conserve some more influence in order to achieve other objectives, I think is the better option here. So Magna says, admittedly, you wish you had a better computer so that you could stream slightly more interesting and relevant things. Apologies, I did not know that you were a streamer, Magna. Because right now you're kind of limited to things like Door Fortress, Cataclysm DDA, Diablo 2, and old emulator stuff. Not that that's a bad thing, but you don't always want to play those. Interesting. Why do you always grab Discovery first? Because I always took, so Anomaly Research Speed is definitely a good one because it pushes your borders out faster. But I always thought, well, now that you think about it, a boost to survey speed really is... I think if you have enough resources to be able to expand, Boldly Go is definitely a good start one. Discovery's definitely become a more attractive option at the start because of Boldly Go, but oh, no worries. It's nice. It's nice to be able to get people, you know. It's nice to at least give people the option. It doesn't matter if you stream regularly. It's, you know, if it's something worth watching, if you're willing to put the time into it, I'm willing to put the time into mentioning that you are a streamer, and people can make their decision whether or not it's for them. So yeah, they really do. Maybe I should try Discovery a little bit earlier on. I definitely like expansion because I tend to grab a lot of land, and that hopefully gives me a big what I usually try to do with a lot of expansion is to have a very large industrial base, which renders maybe some of the disadvantages from things like anomalies less of a problem. But
Construction complete.
Planet Ladna has finished its construction queue. That's fine. What I normally like to do with these, until I actually have people to work the zones, I don't always... I kind of like being a little more... I like being a little bit more cautious with some of the things that I build. So for instance, I don't know what my specialties are going to be yet because I don't know what my next planet is going to be. I'm definitely going to need to make a decision in time for my second pop. But essentially what I want to do, the best way to think about these are in 5 pop groups, I tend to find. So right now I know that I can build another building slot. If I want, I can always kick the can down the road and build commercial zones, because that will give me 5 clerk jobs. Alternatively, I know that this will give me 2. So the thing to keep in mind is that right now we're at 25 pops. I've got 1 job available, which means that when I'm at 26 pops, I'm going to need to find 4 more jobs until I can gain access to my new building slot. Now that's going to mean either I build 1 commercial zone. I don't think luxury residences gives me any jobs. So it's either 1 commercial zone or 1 of these buildings, and then one of the districts. The reason I'm holding off on this, and I'm 100% happy with people going into the temple right now. And then once the temple's full up, then I can sort of consider what my next highest priority is. What manner of creature am I playing at the moment, species-wise? Yeah, so this one, again, because I'm doing a little bit of a looser stream right now, I'm playing one of the default species. So this is this is Thierrog is the character name, but where's my species? Does it not give the... I thought this would give me the text for the species again. Okay. Anyways, the Glebzig. This is one of the ones that you get with the game. So they are, they're enduring, they're resilient, they're conservationists, they're sedentary, and then in terms of the society, they are fanatic xenophiles, they are spiritualists, they have an exalted priesthood and an efficient bureaucracy. They are a holy tribunal. This government is a spiritualistic form of oligarchy where a divinely guided council made up of clergy controls the state. No division exists between the state and the dominant organized religion. Hey, Sungif, how are you doing? All right, have a good one, Cleano Dev. Sorry I didn't have much gameplay to show you, but I always appreciate you hanging out and trying to get people to follow as always. Floating jellyfish, yeah.
Anomaly found.
Atmospheric readings from Brius 1 do not match the simulated projections. I'm willing to wait 180 days for this. Maybe I should be considering the research just because I'm definitely taking a lot of time on researching the anomalies. If you're curious why I'm not building the Corvettes, it's because I know they're going to become cheaper at the end of the research, and I don't really have any immediate threats. So in 75 months, I can get less expensive Corvettes, which means that I'm going to have alloys that can go towards building out my borders and such. Oh, excellent. You getting anything special, or is there... Actually, you know what? I don't... I was talking a little bit about like video cards and just the EP measuring. Rather than telling me what kind of PC... You can tell me what kind of PC you're getting on your own, but how about a better question, Sungeef? What games are you most looking forward to play on your PC? Ghoulie Eagle tends to skip anomalies that take more than 120 seconds and come back to them. Yeah, the game's definitely made it a more attractive... it's definitely made it a more attractive option. In this case, I probably went a little too heavy on... I went a little too heavy on the anomalies because obviously I've got this one tied up forever. Like, it's just hit the halfway point. In the end, though, I haven't actually found it to be that much of an impediment. This time it sort of is, because I wound up doing a lot of anomalies really early on, and so my construction ship is not building that industrial base, which was the whole reason why I got expansion. But other than that, normally this method hasn't done too much to harm me in terms of expansion. Oh, this is the new ARPG for in the Warhammer universe, right, Sungeef? I haven't really seen it. Is it... Well, it has to be good if you want to play it, but... My really shameful admission is that, other than the Kojima thing, but that was kind of funny, I never got all the way through Diablo 2. I think I stopped after, like, the second act, because I find that kind of game a little repetitive. Mind you, I have been having a decent time with Grim Dawn, so maybe it's just a mood thing. Alright. Immense ragged plains of shadow drift across Brius One's face. They are cast not by clouds, but by sheets of organic material drifting through the upper layers of the atmosphere, hinged, or rather jointed, to allow for a small degree of articulation. Science Officer Tarush is as yet unwilling to say whether these things are flora or fauna, or what possible purpose, if any, their elaborate shadow casting might serve. Alright, so this has made the system relatively more attractive. There'll be 3 minerals as well as social research. So in this case, I'm going to go for... So administrative upkeep... Galactic Ambition is not a bad one because it does reduce the cost of my spaceships, but in this case I am going to go for Colonization Fever just because it is really nice to have an extra pop right at the start. You live for infinite grind and replayability, which is why you play stuff like RuneScape and many ARPGs and MMOs for a year. Yeah, it's hard. I do actually rather like Diablo 3, but yeah, I tend to find games like those very repetitive, and I find the getting a new pair of pants is not enough to keep me into it for most of the time. Getting an i7 RTX 2070. It's definitely a better computer than I've got now. My computer used to be awesome, but it's been a few years and I haven't upgraded yet. So when I pay down a little bit of my debts, I'll definitely be looking into some upgrades. Habitable World Survey. We now know without a doubt that a thriving biosphere is not something unique to Ladna, but both the scientific community and the public at large are eager to learn more about the various forms of alien life found throughout the galaxy. Efforts to catalog the life forms we encounter are already underway, but our xenobiologists have urged us to focus on planetary survey efforts on habitable, life-bearing worlds. A commendable initiative, and we're beginning the Habitable Worlds Survey event chain.
Situation log updated.
So this particular one is just to find 8 habitable worlds. We have found exactly none of them because we have explored a total of 3 systems so far. Our xenobiologists have urged us to survey any worlds with an active biosphere that we come across. They are eager to learn more about the diverse alien ecosystems found throughout the galaxy. I don't really know if there's a way to prioritize this one, because in the end you usually wind up exploring the systems that you go, like fully exploring the systems you go into anyway. But there we have it. We recovered artifacts from an ancient alien civilization on Brius 2. From what we have translated so far of their language, we have learned that these aliens called themselves the Irasan Concordat. They were an interstellar power that held sway over this region of the galaxy a little over 1 million years ago. They appear to have been the 6-limbed mammalians, And there are several references to some sort of plague called the Javorian Pox, which swept across their empire with devastating results, possibly leading to their extinction. So this begins the Precursors event, and finally, we've got the first big addition in the new DLC. So this will give me something genuinely new to learn about, because I don't know. Like I said, I didn't look at any of the patch notes. I don't know anything about the new artifacts. So,
Situation log updated.
minor artifacts. Minor artifacts represent obscure technology and half-forgotten lore recovered from archaic civilizations, only partially understood by our own science. They are more common than relics and can be spent to enact various empire-wide effects. Magna says, I like Diablo 2 because it's kind of what defined the Diablo game, but Diablo 3 is okay. It's just extremely easy and you find it a bit arcadey. That's fair. I mean, it's possible too. I am definitely very different in my gaming tastes than when I played Diablo 2, so it might be that I actually will like it now. But yeah, at the time I found it quite difficult to get through because it was just very samey. Okay, so if I sell it to private collectors, I get a big dump of 383 energy credits. Now, in one sense, you can say it's almost doubling my energy reserves, and in the other sense, it's like, well, what need do I, like, I don't have anything that I'm using these energy credits for right now. So, maybe not. If we get 2, we can proclaim a religious revelation, so we gain 188 unity. And we gain plus 50% spiritualist ethics attraction. I should be reading the flavor text for this, so put some of our minor artifacts up for auction to private collectors. The discovery of artifacts predating our own civilization is given indisputable proof to our beliefs. We can celebrate diversity, 188 unity, and we get better xenophile ethics attraction. Display some of our minor artifacts to show the diversity of life in the galaxy, and we can do museum exhibits. Puts the minor artifact on public display to inspire our people with the wonders of the past. This action must be performed as a decision on a planet, and send artifacts to museum exhibits decision increases the production of culture workers on one of our planets, which would only be this one. Let's actually look a little bit closer at that, because that seems like something I might want to do. I didn't talk about this earlier, but there's actually a lot of complexity on planets now. And this has been true since Megacorp's dropped. So, cease robot assembly. I don't think we need to worry about that as a religious species. Declare martial law, which will reduce resource production and population growth, but will increase stability and add more soldier units. Discourage planetary growth. Distribute luxury goods. Encourage planetary growth, and send artifacts to museum exhibits. So in this case, culture workers. Culture workers have population. What are we looking at here? I don't seem to have any culture workers, so this would not be a good choice. Do I really not have culture workers? I feel like the priests should count as culture workers, shouldn't they? Huh. Alright. A few years ago, you actually avoided anything that had too much action, that required skill, or had any kind of difficulty, which is why playing Warframe and despite playing Warframe and Path of Exile since their betas, you ended up leaving them for years, telling yourself, I'm not smart enough to play this game. You came back to them about 2 years ago, and you're actually semi-proficient in them now, to the point where you've played Warframe for nearly over a year non-stop as your main game. That's really cool. I actually like Warframe a lot, and I feel very patriotic playing a Canadian game. I don't play it at all on stream, and I noticed that a lot of my gaming time is really stream time, so I play less Warframe than I probably would in a world where I didn't stream, but I think Warframe is a very well done game, and I remember Johnny Big Time. If you have not watched him, he's a really talented caster. Johnny Big Time and I were talking, and he sort of said to me at a really good point, and this was Warframe had been out for years at this point. He said, I don't really know what's going on with games. Like, all of my favorite games are like free ones. Do I really want to do another 1080? I feel like I have to leave this one be because I'm already tying up this ship with a huge job. I really can't afford to do a level 7. I'd be okay setting aside 1. Doing 2 when my construction ship is sitting like this is just too reckless. So, but yeah, like we were talking about how like some of the best games that we're playing do not require us to spend a penny, and like do not require us to spend a penny in a like not you secretly actually have to spend the money to have a good time kind of one. So Isaacson says you feel that way with a lot of games. You're so very unclever with games. This is the thing, like video games aren't like school exams. Like we should be playing them for fun. I think anybody who thinks like maybe I'm just
System
wired
survey
the wrong way,
complete.
but honestly the idea of like being good at games as a badge of honor is a little weird to me. And it's mostly just because it's hard to see. Like I can definitely see a sense of pride in terms of being able to say like this is something I've put some effort into and I've got an accomplishment on. But like turning it into something that you lord over someone has always struck me as a very strange way of thinking, because they're entertainment products and they're somewhat social in nature. Like it's a little bit like I'm pretty sure anyone here who had a friend that said that they're like, I'm the best at Monopoly, like I could kick your ass at Monopoly, would think that that was a really petty thing to put so much stock into. And I think that you really are only one step removed from then saying that about any video game, really. So Kyle B just streamed it tonight. Oh, okay. I'm glad it's topical then. I took a bit of a break from it now, but I'm back. Cool Eagle says, you think Warframe gets 10,000% more fun if you drop $10 in it? That's almost certainly true. The big thing for me with Warframe is I find its economy very confusing, and I understand that it's sort of designed that way. But I've never really bothered to figure out how it works, and so until I actually figure out how all the pieces sort of move, I'm just sort of like, I'll kick around and enjoy it for free. Excuse me. I actually don't play it enough to really be worth for it to be worth putting the money in, but I am definitely willing to spend money on free-to-play games if I do it. I put some money into MechWarrior Online. I actually rather like it, although it's not. I know it's not everybody's favorite game. What else do we have? Warframe is definitely a well-crafted game. It's for sure one of your favorite games. The thing that made you quit recently is you noticed that after playing 1 or 2 missions, you end up having huge headaches, and you think it's because your computer has just enough frame drops, the high-speed movement hurts your eyes and stuff. Makes sense. And Isaacson says, you don't know, you never spent much on Warframe except to buy a color palette, but you haven't played it in years. Isaacson, if you ever get back into Warframe, I need to show you what my Excalibur looks like. I am very proud of my Excalibur's look. Okay. The final rest. By what has to be beyond astronomical odds, the GLB Glukosh actually managed to pinpoint the source of the odd signals as it soared past through the asteroid belt. A tiny alien construct. A simple scan reveals that it is some sort of ritualistic container holding the remains of an alien spacefarer. We can say, let the coffin continue its voyage, and we gain 250 social, or bring it to Ladna and display it in a museum, and we get a little bit more of an even distribution of points. Now, there's 2 reasons why I want to do the xenophilic option. In terms of points, obviously we get more, but more importantly, 250 society research is not that important to me, seeing as I almost have double the social research compared to all of the others. So in this case, it actually makes a little bit more sense, not just in terms of the absolute number of research points, but also in a little bit more of a balanced approach to my my science. Definitely, I want to try and shore up my physics and engineering. You have a bunch of Frash and Frame picks. You want to use the capture mode more to show off a few of them in some action shots. I think that is such a cool feature in the game. I don't really like. I'm not the most artistically inclined, but my Excalibur is definitely something I feel very happy with. All right, so all the jobs are taken up. I'm going to need to make a decision now in terms of my next pop. We don't know what's going to be on this world. It's a nice-sized world, so we're going to try and colonize that as early as I can. I'm sorry, guys. I'm really going to try and do another hour of this, but it's hard. It's already like 1:19, and I had a very full day. And I think a couple of you know...
System survey complete.
It wasn't my happiest of days. It wasn't a particularly bad day, but it was a very wearying one. Yeah, go nuts, Magna Draconis. If it's something bad, I will bring down the wrath of God. But I generally assume people will not be pests. But yeah, go. Feel free to share whatever you'd like. All right, so let's talk a little bit about what the next few plans are going to be.
Construction complete.
I've got a nice big stack of goodies that I can get. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to priority mining stations and then research stations. This should probably be fairly obvious as to why. Right now I'm in the growth mode. I don't need to worry about getting even more social research. We briefly detected some unusual energy readings emanating from this moon. It might have been a glitch in our systems, or it could be a sign of something more. So we'll research that. We've also got Wadriax. Now, Wadriax is only going to get me the 2 energy. I don't have anything to grab the trade. Oh, no, I do have a trade hub, so I'll get a little bit of trade from that as well, possibly. But really what I found the thing I was most interested in, which is the most natural colonization destination. So we already know that we're going to be getting colonization fever. Let's say we'll go for the starbase upkeep because that's going to give me some more energy credits, and then we'll go to a new life. So galactic ambition, the banner of our great empire, will one day be as common as hydrogen throughout the galaxy. Yeah, so the reason why
Research complete.
Ancient warring tribes, historical nations in conflict, now unified in empire. We will not crumble. All right, so social research is done. Let's go for, I think, the pop growth speed. I think the pop growth speed is the one I want to go for. So genome mapping. Mapping the genome of an individual through the sequencing of their DNA opens up for tailored medical treatments and therapies. Now that means I'm going to need to be a little bit more careful in terms of what my upgrades are on the planets. Now that I've got a destination that I will be colonizing, again, I need to wait for my science ship to finish exploring. I think now that I have another potential location to be generating some resources, I may be a little more comfortable letting my capital be sort of a farming world because of the specialties on it. But we'll see. Like, I've been really trying to hold back on any investment along these lines just because I want to try and make the most of my resources. And of course, at the moment, I've got really no shortage of food. Okay, let's think a little bit about blockers. Microsingularity. A microsingularity recently intersected Sastrum 1A, passing straight through the core and emerging on the other side of the moon. The encounter does not seem to have caused any permanent damage, but it has altered the energy output of the planetary core slightly in a way that defies our current scientific models. Further study may be warranted. We get an additional 3 science to Sastrum 1A. That's good news because we know that we're going to get it no matter what. And this is blocking me for agricultural districts. Oh, 1 extra pop is created if I get rid of these slums. Well then. That complicates things a bit. I'm definitely going to dig this up. I just want to make sure that I have the infrastructure to support this. Okay, so let's take a look at what this planet will give me. Okay, big specialty on mining district, and this won't be an agriculture world, so I feel a little more comfortable now specializing on food. Just trying to think if there's anything else that I might want to try and get away with before I put the points in.
System survey complete.
A Class 12 asteroid orbits this planet. The small planetoid's orbit appears to be far too stable for its presence to be a natural occurrence. I'm going to build the one farm for now. So that'll take me up to 28. I still need to figure out what I want to do with the remaining 2 pops. And how long is it going to take me to get rid of the...
Anomaly found.
Our initial scans have caught an irregular signal reminiscent of our own distress patterns. So we'll research that. It's going to cost me 120 days. So I need to wait for the agriculture district to finish building. Magna, I don't know if you're looking for the links or not. If I wasn't clear, do feel free to share whatever you have inside a chat. I don't mean to flog the point, but I'm a little worried that you asked and then I haven't seen any activity. So please consider yourself to have a warm green light unless you're gonna share something awful. But I'm assuming you're just sharing the Warframe stuff. Oh, okay, cool. Sorry, I didn't want to. Oh, I forgot. It's queued. You can't do more than one of those at a time. Okay, well, nothing lost there. Yeah, I was a little self-conscious, so. Towed asteroid. For some reason, someone has towed an asteroid into a stable orbit around Sastrum 5. The massive engine sections and braking thrusters can still be found on the surface, although they have long since been rendered inoperable. Whoever did this also mined the asteroid for minerals, but these operations were seemingly abandoned shortly after they began. So, 3 engineering to Sastrum. This is, of course, shaping up to be a really good system. So let's just get a quick look at number 3 before they go. I just want to make sure that there's no fancy... Yeah. Again, it'd be cool to work with Brius, but I don't have anything. I'm just going to take a quick peek at this. Oh, wow. Yeah, this game definitely looks a lot better when you pay for it. So Sastrum will definitely help my energy coffers, and it has, I mean, it's got a fairly sensible path to some of my existing planets. Turns out Kofevi 3 is also a fairly decently sized planet. So one thing I want to focus on now, how long is it going to take me to build a colony ship? 360 and then the moving time. I think I need to wait until... Oh, wow. They're building that starbase right away. I wasn't expecting that. The signal we intercepted was a distress call from a ship in orbit around Kofevi 7. The ship is not giving off any heat signatures and it seems to be drifting. A special project has been issued to investigate what happened to the crew. So intriguing.
Situation log updated.
So what are we looking at here? 20 days? I think I can live with that. All right, I'm gonna click on these, but the I'm gonna have to. Oh wow, those look really cool. I was gonna look at them a little bit later, but obviously as I opened them, I saw them. Those look neat. I'll give them a proper look when I'm not casting, because obviously if I spend the whole time looking at Imgur, nobody's gonna want to watch me. But I approve. I approve of the content so far.
Special project complete.
Having searched the ship and inspected the crew's remains, Science Officer Toolbig has deduced that the crew members must have killed each other, and the solitude and confinement of space travel can break even the strongest of minds. Worrying. Of course, we know there was something else waiting for us there, and we just didn't succeed on the roll, so... Ooh, okay. We are receiving a distress signal from the GLB Guklosh. The crew has gone mad and are killing each other. The captain has lost all control. Sending help would be futile at this point. Could this have anything to do with that derelict ship that was recently investigated? Terrible news. All right. Well, that's a shame. Don't recall if we lost the leader or not. We did. All right. Sometimes you eat the bar, and sometimes the bar eats you. I'm kind of glad. I was originally going to dump a bunch of resources into removing more districts, and I feel rather good that I didn't do that now, so I can buy replacement captains. So relics have negative effects too.
Construction complete.
I don't know, Argonaut. I've only encountered one so far, and at the moment it's really a resource. I believe the derelict ship event has always been in the game, and there's always been the probability of losing one of your science ships. Right now, all I can do with this artifact is sell it. If I get another one, I can also use it to boost some certain stats, and there are sort of unknown effects once I gain arcane deciphering. Okay, so we've got a new ship. Let's get a new captain. It's actually rather tempting to put one of these guys in the lab, but in this case, I'll go for the maniacal one, I think. Yeah, for now, I'm going to stick him on a ship, and then when he gets a little bit better at the whole science thing, we'll stick him in a lab. Okay. So I do want to survey this planet because there is a relic there. I think I'll make a decision about what I want to do with this ship once we've explored these. So. And as far as expansion is concerned, obviously Sastram is a pretty high priority. Actually, I should be building that colony ship right away. So once the colony ship is done, we'll be colonizing Sastram right away. The main reason for doing that is I've already got the extra colonist. So I don't really feel like there's any reason to wait. I originally thought that he was going to finish the mining and society research. Otherwise, I would have built that colony ship in time to colonize the second that border expands. But in the meantime, it's going to head to Brius. I'll set it up for mining and research stations when the time comes. And now I need to figure out, do I want to maintain 2 colonies at once and drop a ship on Kafeve? Or do I want to expand out to Wadrax, Paya? You know what?
Construction complete.
I think I am actually going to head to Kofefe right away. Okay. So my pop is growing. If I could, I'd like to get that agricultural bonus because that's going to be the focus of this particular planet. I suppose the other thing that I could try is Hollow Theaters because they do give unity and amenities. Thing is that I already get the unity and amenities from temples. Okay, so I can get better pop growth speed or I can get more administrative capacity. Obviously, pop growth speed is something I actually need right now. So a new life awaits for our citizens in the off-world colonies. A chance to begin again in a golden land of opportunity and adventure. With the help of an aggressive marketing campaign, the less fortunate elements of our society will be flocking to our colony ships. So, of course, this is generally a good thing, but it is a little bit of a liability to me in the sense that I don't have very clear plans about what I'm going to be doing with my pops. I've been wondering how many people... So, how many people know what movie that quote is from? Alright, I'm still trying to think a little bit about what my best move for my next 2 pops are. I can punt and build another agricultural district, but... Ah, thank you very much, Magna. Oh, actually, that one seems to have a broken link warning. Okay, so with the resources I have available to me right now, I can double down on alloy civilian. Oh, you know what? I also get a bonus to trade. I think. Yeah, trade value goes up 20%. So Ladnath currently... Trade value represents civilian day-to-day economic activities. Starbases collect trade value and convert it into resources such as energy credits if connected to your capital planet through a trade route. Trade value that is directly collected by your capital starbase does not need a trade route to generate resources. So, obviously I built that agricultural district, but a commercial zone might actually make the most sense at the moment because, number one, it gives me a bunch of clerks. It gives me a bunch of trade value and amenities. And higher trade value will give me more money. Oh, this is general, not governor. I was like, wait a minute, we don't have a governor on my capital planet. I completely forgot we were paused. Sorry about that. Ah, okay. Okay, so let's... So this would mean that I built one too many agricultural districts because obviously I would have enough pops to move me to the next slice of 5. I was originally going to say holo theaters, you know, nice to get more consumer goods, more unity from consumer goods and whatnot, but that's the whole reason why I have a temple. So, obviously more... So the reason why I'm kind of... Who was that? Sibulus83, thank you very much for that follow. So the reason I'm a little hesitant on like alloy foundries, civilian industries, and research. Obviously research is very good to have. The difference is that you can get upgrades to these buildings where you'll wind up with more jobs for pops. And so what I'm trying to do is to build a little bit of a broad base for my capital world. And what would be particularly good is I can build something towards its specialty of agriculture right now. But at the moment, I don't have that option available. So the question is is the game going to force a choice where I need to build up another 2 slots, in which case commercial zone makes sense because I am going to get some bonuses towards trade value. And alternatively, I might say, okay, well, I'll just kick the can down the road. I'll build another agricultural district and wait for another specialty. The thing is that right now, having all this stored food isn't really getting me a whole lot. Cool Eagle says, you gotta hit the sack. You have a good stream. Thank you very much, Cool Eagle. Guys, I might only be up for another 45 minutes, and I realize it's really early in the game, and we haven't seen a lot of the artifacts yet. The point of this was to do just a quick kick at the tires and see how far that we could get. On Monday, we will definitely do a proper playthrough. The first hour is probably going to be dedicated to building a big special species, and we'll do a little bit more of a deep dive. I know some people will be disappointed by that, but please keep in mind, like, I was not sure if I was going to stream anyway, so I'm doing my best, but we need to kind of keep some expectations. We need to manage the expectations for what we'll see tonight, I think, just based on just my ability to keep my eyes open, to be honest. So sorry if that's disappointing. Okay, comet sighted. A comet blazes a trail across Ladna's horizon, a bright envoy from the distant stars. The Glebzig people find great joy in this reminder, vague as it is, that we are not alone in this universe. They are more supportive than ever of the the Glebzig Foundation's ambition to greet the galaxy with open arms. 40 unity gained. In terms of overall strategies, what we would be doing now... Oh, an encounter. An encounter in Sapir. We have encountered some form of alien vessels in the Sapir system. These are strange objects, have been flagged as Sapir until we can find out more about them. I think that might mean that they are... they're a... what the hell are they? Oh, these are... I can never remember the names of these. I think space whales. This is an enclave, so... we've encountered some alien vessels in the Sapir system. These strange objects have been flagged as the Alpha aliens until we can learn more about them. And contact report, enigmatic spacefarers. The Glebzig Foundation has finally encountered fellow wanderers among the stars. Despite their intentions being unknown and potentially even hostile, the atmosphere on Ladna following the report from our contact fleet can be best described as rapturous. Alright, let's...
Anomaly found.
It's a challenging anomaly, but I don't have any other work to do, so let's give it a shot. The only thing that makes me a little worried is that my this ship might wind up finishing its construction duties before it winds up taking Kofefe. Okay, special projects. Both of them take 16 months. In comparison, I get a better growth rate in 39 months. I think I'm going to go for the growth rate for now. Okay, so let's assume for a minute that my capital world winds up being my sort of my breadbasket. Sastrum 3 will be my mining world, and Kofevi 3 is clearly an energy. Okay, well this is actually a really nice little setup to have. I have sort of 3 specialty worlds. I'll be a little short on minerals, but as it happens, minerals are my biggest resource right now. Again, I don't want to go crazy on Ladna to constantly be churning out food, because at the moment the best that I could do would be to spend some of that food on increasing the population growth rate. But the thing that I noticed in the Megacorp stream that I did, I tended to neglect food quite a bit. And what this wound up meaning was I would be playing catch up. I'd wind up putting farms on worlds that weren't necessarily specialized for it, and so I'm going to try and build that specialization in right at the beginning. I'm going to be super bold and build a second colony ship right away. Okay. Welcome the GLB Kurgagog. You may touch down on Sastrum 3 and make it Sastrum Prime. Okay, now I need to make a decision. Against my better judgment, I think I'm going to drop the commercial zone. It'll give me a little flexibility for the next couple of zones as well. So at some point, I will wind up putting the points into some more farms. It would be nice to have that specialty, but I do want to make sure that things like housing and amenities are taken care of. And then I'm not 100% happy with being reactive to some of this stuff, but ideally I can specialize to a point that I get some good industrial worlds down and whatnot. As far as the districts are concerned, though, I do want to... I have a pretty clear division as far as... as far as energy, mineral, and agricultural worlds go. So modulated fields allowed for increased production and improved energy yield. Okay, research speed plus 5% is pretty much a default option, and both of them are more expensive, and I don't need them right now. So, although I will want to build that energy grid building at some point. Okay, so we are done investigating Sapir, and now I need to start making some decisions in terms of what my expansion is going to look like. So, I think I'm going to let the quest line inspire my movement a little bit. So what we'll do here... I really like these triangle patterns because they let me get a few systems investigated. That should give me a little something to work with. Sapir itself is not a major sort, like this is not the sort of thing I would really want to go out of my way to colonize, but usually if you have an enclave in the same area, you can usually get some pretty nice bonuses to your star base. So I'll consider expanding to it, but I won't make it the #1 priority. Okay, colonization is on its way. Let's watch the magic happen. We also get to keep the construction ship in the frame for a little bit anyway. This is a really good looking ship model. We are receiving a transmission from the independent space station of the Zerocorp. They appear to have successfully translated our language. We gain 24 influence for that. Welcome to Zerocorp. We are a business conglomerate. Ooh. All right, we'll deal with you in a minute. 42 years and 3 days. A closer scan of the debris field around Kofeve has led to a discovery of an airtight capsule containing an atomic clock that measures time with unparalleled precision. It has a frequency uncertainty so low that it will be another 879 million years before it gains a single second, and it is counting down to a date 42 years and 3 days away. The capsule holds no clues as to what the date signifies or who the owners are, but it seems as though someone out there has lost track of time. Keep an eye on it, or it's a bomb! Destroy it! The capsule is full of innocent-looking wires, any one of which could be rigged to set off a weapon of mass destruction so potent that it would wipe out the entire galaxy. The crew should snip them all. Or tick-tock, tick-tock. Keep an eye on it. Alright, welcome to Zerocorp. We're a business conglomerate operating out of the Sapir system, specializing in trade, the very building blocks of civilization, as we like to say here at Zerocorp. Please do not hesitate to contact us if you're interested in making a good deal.
Founding a new home.
A colony ship managed with surprising grace to maneuver between the massive peaks that are so prevalent on the jagged landscape of Sastrum Prime. It touched down in a sheltered valley that will serve as an ideal first landing site. The ship has been permanently converted into the administrative headquarters of the new settlement, and its reactor core is in the process of being removed so that it may serve as the colony's temporary power source. Hundreds of small tents and prefab shelters have sprung up around the former starship's massive hull as colonists begin to disembark in large numbers. The first Glebzig city on an alien world. A great day for the Glebzig Foundation. 114 engineering research gained. Alright, so nothing we can do about this quite yet, but eventually I'm going to put some effort into boosting the population numbers because this is going to be giving me a bunch of mineral resources, and there'll be a similar thing that happens with Kofeve, assuming that, of course, we don't all die in 42 years. Not that we'll see that by the end of today's cast. 4 months and then I get Corvettes and I can start spending some of these alloys on things that are not star bases. There's a little bit of an argument for me to plug up the holes, so Japhon, I think I probably would want to take Zafir. Reading suggests that the presence of an unknown fleet in orbit LR9 Singularity. They do not respond to hails. Really? I don't see the fleet. I'm not too worried about this one working slowly because I don't really think my expansion's going to be heading out here anytime soon. It's really this one that I want to make sure is doing proper exploration. Actually, with that in mind, let's do something like... I'm going to adjust its path a little bit. So survey this, This is kind of an ugly path, actually. Ah, damn it.
Construction complete. Research complete.
I'm trying to get the I'm trying to get some of the missions done while also looking for likely expansion targets. Nah, see, what thing I don't like about that option is that this is a very obvious expansion target. So, you know what? I'm going to bite the bullet. I'm going to go with my original idea. It makes sense for me to explore the stuff that I might potentially want to own. I was, but I corrected it. So we should be still looking at... Well, apparently it didn't take. Thank you, Baver. I did intend to not do that, but... Anyways, yeah, I wanted to see if there was a better way of doing it, but honestly, this will allow me to do more exploration. Okay, so we've got our corvettes up now. Establishing new standards for the modeling and construction of corvettes greatly improves the efficiency of the production pipeline. So I've already got a colony ship built, so I'm actually behind in terms of getting everything done. Let's focus on what our next acquisition is going to be. This will be an interesting dilemma here. So we've got powered exoskeletons, which will give me plus 5% minerals from jobs, or geothermal fracking, which will give me 20% from miners. In this case, I think I'm going to do geothermal fracking, and this is because I know ultimately I'm going to be building a bunch of miners. It'll give me a larger influx of minerals. It used to be that powered exoskeletons was pretty much an always get. But in this case here, I think the fracking is the better option. Okay, so we'll unpause that.
Construction complete.
So 1, 2, 3. See, technically, I can only build one corvette. I think in this case, I am actually going to build the Sorry, I should... Yeah, I'll start just by building the starbase. I probably should be building the intermediate stations. Complete. I'm also going to start building the corvettes. So Empire Capital's taken care of as far as jobs for the next little while. I didn't feel great about the commercial zones, but it will give me a little bit more trade value, and the amenities are nice to have, I suppose. System survey complete. Okay, so Kaveve's done. We've already got our next corvette. Again, I want to be a little careful in terms of what I'm building. Actually, at this rate, let's just build the starbase. So I want to make sure that I have 300 alloys set aside before I do anything else. This is just so that I can get Kofeve, Peya, and Wadriax. Everything else I'm going to wind up putting into rebuilding my my fleet, the core. Hologram investigated the unrecognized fleet signatures in the LR9 singularity system revealed an unexpected discovery. The fleet is not, in fact, in safe orbit around the black hole, but rather crossing its event horizon. Science officer Tarush conjectures that the fleet approached LR9 Singularity's event horizon centuries ago, whereupon time dilation left their image detectable on its surface. Whether the fleet's actions were intentional or the result of some unhappy accident we may never know, their signatures match no known civilization on record, and we add +3 social research to the Singularity should we ever choose to expand to that system. All right. There's only one more thing to do with expansion, so we'll get the courier network. Network of small courier vessels is a reliable alternative to transporting VIPs or delivering messages that can't be trusted to FTL communications. This will tie our far-flung colonies more closely together. Administrative capacity is increased by 20, although we're certainly nowhere near, losing out on that yet. But, of course, we do now have the finisher effect. Adopting all expansion traditions will allow all of your planets to build one additional district. This will not affect habitats or ring worlds. In addition, we unlock one Ascension perk slot, and I have no idea which one I want to go for. So Interstellar Dominion would be if I wanted to continue gobbling up new systems, but I have a feeling I'll be constrained by alloys for that. Technological Ascendancy, technologies that would have been indistinguishable from magic mere generations ago are now within our reach. A new age of technology has begun. Plus 10% to research speed. Rare technologies now appear 1.5 times the normal rate, and the effect would change a 1% chance to 1.5. One Vision. One Vision is actually really tempting because I've been doubling down on Unity, and it will also allow me to sort of snag some of these other ones a bit earlier. Mastery of Nature is also pretty good because of the expansion of the planet. I'm actually really feeling, though, like One Vision is where I want to go with this one, because that'll allow me to maybe put some points into Discovery, because obviously I've been tied up a lot with the anomalies that emerge. And I do have a little bit of catching up to do as far as survey speed, so let's go for One Vision. True unity is achieved only when the ultimate goals of a nation and its people are one and the same. After all, a house divided against itself cannot stand. For that, we get 10% to unity, a reduction in population amenities usage, and a bonus towards governing ethics attraction. Not that we have factions yet. Again, I'm always slow, so.
Anomaly found.
By chance, we stumbled upon a faint alien signal during the survey of this planet. The source appears to be a small object in orbit. The signal contains no message. Could it be a transponder? At this point here, I'm pretty much always going to go for any anomalies that I find because I have enough expansion projects to keep my construction ship busy. Oh, looks like it did decide to finish the job on Wadriax. I forget, I always need to manually cancel that one. It's the science ships which will... Or no, actually science ships I think finished their work as well. Anyways, so this is slower taken Kofevi than I would normally want. That also explains why I had fewer alloys than I thought I would. Anyways, I have enough stuff from my construction ship to do to afford sort of having these guys take their time going through different areas. And while I do want to focus if I can on sort of branching out, it is worth remembering that I do need to sort of recover some of the lost time as far as my fleet was concerned. I did deliberately hold off expanding my fleet so that I could take advantage of a small discount that I earned. So now that I've got that discount, I actually need to make good on the debt. Otherwise, I potentially run into somebody who's stronger than me. They take advantage of the fact that I don't have a large fleet, and I probably can't build it in time to deal with them being nasty. Okay, what else are we up to? Right now, we're just waiting on the expansion. Ladna's gonna be taken care of until we get our next spot, and really I think we're gonna be waiting on the technology to see what we get. I'm sure I will probably wind up putting some points into the agriculture district, but again, at the moment there's really no advantage to me building building any more of these because it just uses up resources which can potentially be used elsewhere. Although, of course, we've got a nice stockpile of everything except energy. I suppose the one thing I can do with decisions, though, would be to encourage planetary growth. I think I might actually wait until I have enough. I think I might do the encouragement on the Kofevi system, and that's just so I can boost my energy credits. And that's also because I get the percent-based bonus to energy credits right now, unlike the other two, although the minerals will be getting a boost soon. So what I'll probably do is boost population growth on Kofevi 3 first, then Sastrum 3, and then the capital. Mummified pilot. The mummified remains of a single individual belonging to a previously unknown mammalian species have been found drifting in high orbit over Bijal B1. The being is dressed in what appears to be a flight suit complete with a helmet, and maybe a fighter pilot that ejected in some ancient battle only to be forgotten and left behind. Our study of the corpse has provided some interesting data. A tragic fate and 150 social research for our spiritualists. Yeah, I mean, the main reason for choosing One Vision in this particular case was because, again, when we started, we made some specific decisions in saying, it's like, okay, so here are some things that the game has told us that the species is about. This is one of the default species in the opening of the game, and we said it looks like we have a few different touch points where we get some unity advantages that we wouldn't get somewhere else. And so, especially given the fact that I decided to do expansion first and then consider doing technology, one of the nice things about putting a lot of effort into putting a lot into Unity means that I can maybe overcome some of the disadvantages I would get from not getting Discovery as early as I might have. I'm able to sort of close that gap a little bit faster. So again, the idea that maybe I could have been exploring a few of these areas a little bit sooner than I actually have.
Building a new home. Research complete.
You know, the fact that maybe these borders should be pushed out a little bit sooner than they could, I can sort of close that gap down with To Boldly Go as my second tier choice. Okay, genome mapping, 10% population growth speed boost. Mapping the genome of an individual through the sequencing of their DNA opens up for tailored medical treatments and therapies. Hydroponic farming is... No, I actually don't want hydroponic farms. I want the one that gives me... Excuse me. I want the one that gives me the actual percent-based bonus. I don't think as much... No, actually, biodiversity studies definitely goes ahead because my priests wind up giving me some jobs. So I'm still generating 15 through jobs. See, I think I am going to do biodiversity studies. Although it'd be nice to see what gene clinics do. Consumer growth into amenities and pop growth speed. Tempting, but not enough to replace the others. So, Magna's lost track of time while doing this Imgur stuff, so you want to wake up around 9 a.m. tomorrow. God help you, sir. So you can catch a speedrun tournament. Gonna try and get some sleep. See you around. Take care. Thank you very much for the follow. Thank you very much for hanging around, Magna. I hope it wasn't too much of a disappointment, because I know Cool Eagle and Sniper Guy are a tough act to follow. I'm actually going to be falling asleep not too far behind you, but good luck with getting up on the diminished hours. And thank you very much for sharing all that Imgur stuff. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to give it quite the attention that I wanted to, but I am going to be going through those when I finish the cast as well. It's just, I know, especially when I'm sort of already kind of at marginal attention, if I start looking at Imgur now, I'm just going to not be playing Stellaris for the last 20 minutes. So, thank you. All right, strategic resource discovered. The GLB Yumgrass has discovered a previously unknown strategic resource on Bigel B2 dubbed volatile motes. These preternatural particles contain a tremendous amount of energy, which could be exploited in energy production, as fuel, or even as explosives. While we do not yet possess the means to extract this resource, we should definitely consider establishing control over this system for future exploitation. And, right, a colossal impact crater hints at something big collided with the surface. Alright, mass extinction, broken planet. Our astronomers are confident that the asteroid belt in this system was once a habitable planet, torn asunder by unknown forces. A special project has been issued to study one of the major asteroids. And a colossal impact crater hints that something big collided with the surface of this planet once. Okay, so this is the reason why we went to this system. I'm not rushing these, but it's also sort of nice to use them as sort of guidance in terms of what direction to go. I sometimes think that that's sort of the purpose of some of these events, is when you have 3 or 4 different paths to go, you know, having some of this stuff to move towards gives you a little bit of structure around the decisions that you might make. What do I have for expansion options? So I believe I'm already building the base here, so I can actually put all of the points. I'll maybe leave 100 aside. Nah, that's loser talk. Let's build 2 corvettes. I'll build up my infrastructure here, and hopefully I'll have enough to expand to Jophon, but if I don't, I don't. Give me more time for my science ships to expand out to the new locations. Okay, mass extinction asteroid. The asteroid is actually a chunk of what was once a habitable and probably inhabited planet. Regular but overlapping fracture patterns indicate that the planetary demolition was intentional and controlled, if somewhat rushed. All signs point to this planet being the homeworld of whatever species destroyed it. We may never know what drove them to consider planetary annihilation to be the lesser evil, but perhaps we should be grateful for that. Destruction of the homeworld? Or the fact that I'm stopping streaming in 15 minutes? Is there anything you'd like to see? So, by the way, Eyes of Sin does a wonderful job with the emotes. I'm going to show you one of them. The other thing that's nice, I got a copy of Stellaris for Eyes of Sin. I felt really bad because it really did not seem to work well between us. If you ever want to try it again, Sin, I would love to try and get you into this game again. But the one thing that I really like is that the Eyes of Sin really gets invested in the characters in this game. And so one of the things I enjoy the most is getting a chance to do a little bit of a tour of the galaxy with her and to focus on either the planets or the concepts that interest her the most. And I think one of the things that's most attractive about it is that she's as you can see, she's a very talented artist, and she definitely has a very creative way of thinking. And so it's sometimes rewarding to get her extra commentary on some of the things that I might sort of overlook inside of the game. And this is one of the big things. Like, obviously Paradox makes grand strategy games that are definitely oriented towards the kind of people who like to make, you know, numbers go up and to find, you know, new ways to sort of find an optimal strategy or that. And in some ways, it's very funny that I love these games because I'm very much not that kind of player. I love Stellaris so much because it allows me to tell this really big story. I almost never pay attention to what sort of the quote-unquote right way to play is, and I really like making some decisions sort of oriented towards how I think this species might behave. Or at least ones that go interesting places, a little bit like Cultist Simulator. And I think that's one of the reasons why I always enjoy having Eyes of Sin around during streams like this, because I sort of feel like she does a really good job of kind of keeping me grounded on that idea. And I don't know, it's really enjoyable to have her in just because it gets me back to thinking in ways that I find really rewarding. Ultimately, Stellaris is like one of my favorite narrative games that is not actually explicitly a narrative game. So, FTL impact. A massive crater on Bijal B2 appears to be the result of a collision with a starship. From the size of the crater, we suspect that a ship exiting a hyperlane at maximum velocity rammed into the planet for reasons unknown roughly 10,000 years ago. The GLB Yimgrass has picked up residual subspace echoes near the crash site reminiscent of a collapsed hyperparticulate field, but the ship itself disintegrated on impact, so the theory cannot be verified. 133 physics
complete.
research of watching a truly spectacular explosion. So it's probably going to take me a little bit of time before I put anything else inside of the fleet, although this should be enough to deal with any pirates if they show up. Speaking of, we are collecting the trade. I thought we would be collecting the trade, but I didn't know for sure. I might also want to consider setting one of these science ships back to the level 7 anomaly, or level 8 anomaly, my apologies. But I suppose there's no real rush for that because I am going to be going down the discovery path.
Anomaly found.
Efforts to map the surface of this planet have identified a strange mountain formation in the southern hemisphere. It does not appear to have formed naturally. And against my better judgment, I'm actually going to increase the speed for a little bit.
Construction complete.
I'm actually doing okay. Although, this is the one reason I don't normally like doing the fast speed, is I wind up sort of stopping and starting really quickly. But in this case here, we've got a couple of more long-term projects underway, and I know that I'm really waiting for the colony to take off. Alright, faction unlocked. A new faction has recently been gaining traction in the internal political landscape of the Glebzig Foundation, led by Governor Wegtrim. They call themselves the Council of the High Priesthood. Their members support spiritualist and conservative values. A disgruntled faction will be a source of trouble, but one that approves of the government's actions could prove useful. And we've got another political faction that's recently been gaining traction in the internal political landscape, led by the High Inquisitor, and they call themselves the Alien Friendship Association. Their members have been pushing hard for friendly relations with alien species, and again, disgruntled factions will be a source of trouble, but one that approves of the government's actions could prove useful. So let's see what we can do to make these guys happy. So it looks like the Friendship Association is slightly more powerful. Enclaves Incorporated. Okay, so that gives me a bigger reason to incorporate Sapir. And we can temporarily boost them with new contact, although I can't really control that. Council of the High Priesthood. So allowing for the replacement of organic life with robotic workers will displease the Council of the High Priesthood and psionic pursuits. Well, we can definitely ban AIs. This, by the way, is one thing I really like. So as the factions emerge, we start changing policy. And this is something that I kind of like, because this is, of course, what happens in real life, right? You have a reasonably powerful political faction that emerges, and even if they don't necessarily form the government, you might see a shift in terms of the policies because the other groups need to react. So in this case here, do you wish to change robotic workers to outlawed within our empire? We will not be able to change our stance on this for 10 years. The policy will have these effects. Robotic automatons are a threat not only to our people's livelihoods, but the very fabric of society itself. We must not allow ourselves to be made obsolete. Robotic pops and armies will automatically be disassembled. Alright, so that should make the faction a bit happier. We can't do psionic pursuit yet, but I can incorporate an enclave. Through hard work and experience, the governor has developed new skills. I feel like this is stalled. Maybe I'm just impatient. Gigantic skeleton. What was previously thought to be assorted mountains in the southern hemisphere of Bigel 3 have been identified as the massive skeletal remains of a single colossal alien life form. The bones have been dated as 3.4 billion years old, but our scientists have ruled out that Bigel 3 could have supported life on that scale at any point in the planet's history. Science Officer Malog has prepared a special research project to delve further into this mystery. All right, well, I've never met an opportunity to delay my expansion that I didn't want to take yet. I'll queue up another starbase. And I actually think we're going to be able to afford another Corvette. So I'm trying to sneak the Corvettes in where I can, just so that I don't fall behind. Once we take the Sapir system, I'm going to need to sort of sit back and work out what my next batch of expansion plans are going to be. By virtue of the fact that we've just simply looked at more planets, it seems like heading here is a little bit better, especially because we've got the resources. But special project completed. After continued studies of the massive skeletal remains found on Bigel 3, Science Officer Malgug has concluded that the creature served as some kind of organic starship. Much smaller bones from at least 3 separate species were found within the larger skeleton, and we assume that these came from members of the crew. For unknown reasons, this organic starship suffered catastrophic damage and crash-landed on Bigel 3. While we cannot begin to understand the biological engineering necessary to grow a starship like this, the study of these bones alone has substantially advanced our knowledge. And 3 society research, 3 engineering research, and this is added to the planet, and 200 experience. So this makes this planet relatively more attractive, both for the volatile motes, the choke point, and the research. But obviously I can't get the construction ship there yet. Alright, ship sensors are picking up an unexplained pattern of interference in the Bigel system, so I'm pretty much definitely going for discovery here now because the anomaly research speed is up, and then I'm also going to be able to improve the survey speed and such. The other thing is I don't obviously need any of these others right now. Some earlier discovery is definitely an advantage. Now again, I don't regret going for expansion because in reality I'm going to have 2 extra pops nice and early. I've already got some bonuses to growth speed, and it just so happens that these are going to be on 2 planets that will be giving me all of my basic resources. So I'm pretty happy with the decision to go expansion first, but clearly at this point discovery is going to give me some advantages that I can't turn down. I have no need for supremacy, diplomacy, domination at the moment. Harmony is a little bit of a weak one right now because I've already got a food specialist planet, and I don't quite need the other benefits that come from it right now. And so the only other option would have been prosperity, and we're sort of able to handle our existing needs right now. So, I should actually select it. So, discovery. Our curiosity about the universe is what got us this far, and there's still so much to discover. Alright, so we knew that we were going to have more expansion available to us. Eventually, I'm going to have to build another housing district. So I have 3 available jobs before I get the next building slot. In this case, I'm going to punt. I'm going to build another agriculture district. Nice thing is that agriculture districts give housing and jobs, so they're sort of a neutral choice. I get enough workers to maintain the status quo. There might be an argument for me getting rid of the industrial wasteland, though. Yeah, I'll do it. So, got rid of the industrial wasteland, and we've got the fungal caves. These extensive cave networks are covered in many species of edible fungi, which require neither sunlight nor fertile soil to flourish. I wouldn't normally want to be so wasteful with energy credits, but I think we'll be able to get by with it. By the way, Eyes of Sin, I don't think I've ever shown you any of the planet killers yet, have I? Sonified science. The GLB Yimgrass crew has succeeded in isolating a signal embedded in the unusual pattern of interference in the Bigel system. The signal is a song, a complex sonification of an advanced mathematical equation, to be precise, and one that Science Officer Malgug cannot seem to get out of their head. Who or what may have composed this song remains unknown, though its complexity infers an incredible level of technological sophistication regarding subspace harmonics. The signal's geodesics suggest a point of origin from outside of our galaxy. 150 social research and 134 physics research for the trouble. Okay, so the Bigel system's looking relatively more attractive. Not that we weren't going to be getting it anyway. I think once we get the Enclave, we'll probably turn
New
our
frontiers
construction
established.
around. Oh, we've established the Sastrum Prime in the Sastrum system. This will give me some tasty construction. So we've got 2 pops, no jobs available. I think I said this was going to be the industrial world, so let's build that there. Again, that's maintaining status quo, so I'm also going to build a city district. And all these are a little too expensive at the moment, but right now these are blocking max districts. Yeah, so all of this is blocking max districts, which I am going to want to deal with, but I'm going to be able to build 4 mining districts before I need to worry about the rest of that. And I think with that in mind, I'm going to wait until... Oh, well, actually we're going to...
Construction complete.
I don't need to worry so much about Covfefe Prime, actually, so let's build in the Sapir system. I can encourage planetary growth right now. The reason I want to do this is just, again, this is going to be sort of a planet dedicated towards generating important resources for me. So here, growth encourage modifier added for 120 month, giving a plus 25% pop growth speed. That's going to allow me to boost up my planetary administration and whatnot. I don't quite have enough food to justify doing that on the capital as much as I would like, but definitely Covfefe Prime is going to be the next candidate because I'm going to be building a lot of energy collectors. All right. The Giwawa A has detected faint traces of weapon radiation indicative of military spacecraft originating from Gigawa A. Once Sapir's taken care of, we'll build the physics. Then we'll have 100 left over. I think I'm gonna have enough alloys. It's gonna be a little tight. Oh, nope.
System survey complete.
Hey, we have discovered a new archaeological site. I don't know if we're actually gonna be able to do anything about it, but even with the naked eye, it is easy to see something highly irregular in the shape of Bigel C1. The smooth curvature of the surface is suddenly interrupted by a gigantic spherical bump. At some point, a moon or a large asteroid collided with this planet, but must have done so in a fairly delicate manner, merely lodging itself in the planet's crust rather than rending it asunder. So difficulty... Hell. Each chapter is in an archaeological site can have different difficulty values. Difficulty will reduce the likelihood of getting successful results at the end of an excavation phase. So I will do my best to pursue this. But I do... So we'll build Sapir. I want to build the physics research first, then we'll move on to Bigel, and we'll be able to put a scientist in place. I do have enough food to be able to do this decision, so... Again, I'm not 100% sure what I want to do on my home world yet. I'm really just filling up the existing jobs, which are oriented more towards trade. Alien spacecraft, a badly damaged military vessel bearing elaborate alien insignia, circles Gigawa A. The ship has suffered a heavy incendiary attack, which has melted its hull, leaving no survivors aboard. No weapons known to us today can produce temperatures high enough to cause such an effect. Perhaps the ship's logs may shed some light on its violent end. We can examine the logs or we can leave, and we're always curious, so we will examine the logs. So yeah, as far as priorities are concerned, we want to make the faction happy. That'll get us more influence. We want to build the research station because research is always nice. We'll head up to Baijal because we want the archaeological site. It gets us the volatile moats, and it gets so resources, choke point, archaeological site, volatile moats.
Construction complete.
And if I have the ability to do so. This will take me a while because I also have the priority of building out a navy. It would make a lot of sense for me to also pursue these two areas. Actually, ideally this would be the choke point because that puts the volatile moats behind a little bit of a defensive area, and potentially I get to, if there's something cool here, I get that as well. And Baver, you always get a little PTSD whenever you see the paths of science ships if you use Auto Explore. I don't think I have Auto Explore yet anyway, so I think you'll be safe. An analysis of the ship's logs reveals that the crew met its demise when trying to retrieve an irreplaceable alien artifact called the Rubricator. It was stolen from their society by a pack of thieving rats, a curious choice of words as they themselves are most rat-like in appearance. The logs are mainly comprised of curses willing the rat robbers to the end of the universe and beyond. The crew has counted upwards of 50 individual words for defecation, as well as a wide selection of places from which a star's light cannot escape, but their arduous work has paid off. We have uncovered the last known location of the Rubricator in a previously uncharted system, and if we are willing to believe its former owners, its powers are worth pursuing. We must have the Rubricator. Alright, so this gives me something to look forward to. Actually, it's already on our path, so let's... I will be saving this game, by the way. No promises I'll get back to it anytime soon, but it's nice to... It's nice to have in the back pocket, because this is definitely going interesting places. Although, of course, I'm sure that the playthrough that we'll do with sort of my main species will... that'll be true for that one as well. Now, I'm a little nervous here about the construction in Baijal, because it looked like... Yeah, it looks like it doesn't actually spend the alloys until the item in the queue is bumped up. So I need to keep that in mind when I want to build ships. If I'm too careless about that, I'm going to wind up using up all the alloys at a time I can't afford to. Good news is we still haven't encountered anybody nasty yet, so... Alright, we have incorporated an enclave. I don't think we want anything from Juracorp yet. I don't have any need for exotic gases. I can't remember... I don't remember if it's dependent... I'm pretty sure it's only trading ones that I can do with Sapir, but... Alright, this was the time I was normally going to finish, but I'm going to crank it up because I really want to see what starting an archaeological dig is like.
New frontiers established.
Okay, this is good news because I want to boost the population on Kofevi Prime. This will be my energy-focused region. So I'm just going to go straight for planetary growth. So This one I'm putting a little bit more into. I really do want to get the generators online as quickly as I can. I will build a city district because this is also going to be the one that gets the priority in terms of things like other energy generating, like the percent-based bonuses, the energy grids. Although I don't have that technology yet, so it's going to take me a while. Impassable mountains, so districts.
Research complete.
Yeah, so it looks like these glaciers are all taking up some pretty good real estate. Okay, bonuses to research speed, organizational circuitry, rerouting academic fervor. Have a good night, Kai. I'll be heading to bed shortly myself, so hopefully you don't miss too much. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you again for your host. All right, I'm kind of tempted to go for quantum theory here just because it's the cheapest. I don't really need to increase the cost of my spaceships at the moment. I'm still trying to establish the fleets. And I think I can afford another ship.
Research complete.
Society researched plus 20% from researchers. Studying the different forms of life that appear on our world help us better understand ourselves and the life that surrounds it. Now, this is a pretty high priority because, of course, we get the social research from the temple. This is not true for some of the other research. So, like the physics, I'm only getting that from my one research facility, and I'm really not generating enough consumer goods to go too hard on that. Off-road trading company is kind of tempting. Or the tile blocker. Let's take a look at the noxious swamps that I have to deal with. So we only have one industrial wasteland there. Well, see, it does take up a generator district though, so I am going to go for the Xenohydraulic Mastery. Still have 4 jobs available here. Against my better judgment, I'm going to put off the Hour of Doom and build another agricultural district. Although maybe I don't need to worry about that right now. Let me think. So I've got 4 available jobs. That'll take us up to 35. So we'll actually have 2 of these districts. So I can make the decision then. Okay. Again, I'm just going to crank it up until we're able to check out the archaeological dig.
System survey complete.
Alright. Unusual readings suggest that there may be more to this desolate world than meets the eye. Yeah, it's not so much of the question as to whether or not I needed it, Ed Baver. It's more the question of, is it worth it? Because obviously, if it was Glacier, I would have taken it immediately. If it was Impassable Mountains, I just don't see the Max Districts 2 being really worth it. I was thinking more in terms of like, okay, how badly do I need this particular blocker? And in this case here, being able to get rid of the Noxious Swamp will buy me at least 1 more generator district, and in this case it does actually make the difference. So that's basically the reasoning. Okay, geothermal fracking. Minerals for miners plus 20%. New fracking techniques will allow us to tap into previously unattainable pockets of geothermal resources deep beneath the planet's crust. And I guess 0G refineries, because energy does count as mining station output, and I do kind of need a little bit more energy at the moment. We also get the Nebula refinery, but I haven't actually built any bases that will require that, so.
System survey complete.
One of the things that I'm trying, like, when I played Megacorps, I didn't quite understand the full benefits from specialization in that DLC, so one of the things that I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build my empire from the ground up, focusing on as much specialization as I can. So, you know, Ladna has the most spots available for agriculture. So I know at some point I want to build a percent-based agricultural improvement, even though it's my capital world. Sastrum Prime, you know, it's not like, this is not the sort of world where you're like, I must have this as my, you know, my mining districts. But out of all of the ones available, it's certainly the most plentiful. So, you know, I want to make sure that this one is mining, and I'll build the percent-based bonuses for that. Kofeve is obviously a generator district focus. So what I'm trying to do is... it's not just that I now have 3 planets that will allow me to do that. The other important factor for me is that it's also going to be determining the pace of technologies that are secondary to it. So if you just focus on the number of districts that you have available here, so, you know, how many agriculture, how many mining, how many energy, you'll still get a certain mileage out of it. You'll be saying, it's like, okay, so now I'm going to get the most of percent-based bonuses for workers. Now, of course, that percent-based bonus is going to be applied across your empire, so you don't actually need to specialize in that particular case. But then all of a sudden it gives you the ability to turn around and say, okay, well, knowing that this is going to be a specialized energy credit world, now it makes sense for me to get the energy grid, because this will just, you know, it'll apply to all of these individual units. And so then you're like, oh, okay, well, this now gives me a good reason to pursue that technology. And likewise with tile blockers, you're not going to have enough energy to remove everything all at once. And so, you know, the noxious gas was okay, because in the end, 1 additional generator district will still be more than I would have otherwise had. It'll give me something to put towards the employment, and I don't need to worry about kicking the can down the road by building some other kind of improvement. But obviously, if it was impassable mountains, it would be very expensive energy-wise, and it would be solving a problem that I don't have right now, which is the number of districts. Noxious Swamp buys me a little bit of time. Massive Glacier, on the other hand, would get me 5 new generator districts, and so that would have been pretty much an all-hands-on-deck priority. The Rubricator. All coordinates for the Rubricator's last known location. We have discovered a habitable planet with what we believe may be some form of settlement covering a large portion of its surface. Settlement consists of tall, pile-like towers visible all the way from space. Our archaeologists are eager to excavate it in search of the Rubricator. Start digging. Create a Kleptomatic Rats archaeological site on Shiblin 3. Cool.
Construction complete.
This planet has played host to a mammalian society of compulsive gatherers and hoarders. Their labyrinthine city is littered with junk, their towering ramshackle buildings pieced together from scraps of repurposed materials. As far as the eye can see are mountains of knickknacks, ornaments, and artifacts. The tiny rat-like inhabitants did not produce any goods of their own, but were proficient spacefarers who likely pilfered the things that they needed, as well as a whole lot of things they did not need from other alien cultures. This is a much lower difficulty than the other, but of course we would need to make some effort to try and move out there. Although it's a relic world, so it's inhabitable. Oh, they've repurposed this, this story planet. That's a neat idea. City once stretched across the entire world, only ancient and abandoned ruins remain now. The original inhabitants long since departed. See, this is why I shouldn't play Stellaris, because it's really hard to stop playing. Okay, mining stations, research stations. And the whole plan behind this was to check out the site. So let's hire a new scientist to work on this. Alright, I've got eager, I've got resilient. I think I'm going to bring the eager guy in. Okay, now that surprises me. I'm assuming it's because of the difficulty? We'll get one of our top men on it. Oh, I see. They have to do it from space. Okay. Well, I guess that gives me a reason to build another science ship. That sort of throws me off on my fleet construction, but I think I can live with that. Although, I should be careful now. Okay. I am not going to do that. I'm instead going to turn around and excavate. Yeah, so I guess even more, if my style of play holds, I'm going to wind up building even more science ships. Okay, fair enough. This is the small drawback of not reading like the patch notes and not looking at the streams and stuff like that. But this is, I also kind of like playing this way because I've never, I don't know, I like it when games don't work the way that I plan. The only thing is, like, I don't want to turn around and say it's like, oh, bad game design because they did X. That's the contract. Is like, if it's something that I could have found through whatever resources they gave me, I'm not allowed to turn around and complain about it. Primordial soup, nestled in the sheltered pockets across Etan Stella's Stella 1's surface, is a rich sludge of simple organic compounds that our researchers believe could be a hotbed for abiogenesis, the spontaneous formation of organic life from lifeless matter. Etan Stella 1 has an unusually thick atmosphere for a barren world, which could make it hospitable for simple life forms. All this presents a unique opportunity to study what could be the early stages of the origin of life. It would be best to set our expectations low, as it may still be millions of years before life evolves naturally on Eta Stella 1, if at all. Okay, so this guy's gonna wind up doing the old route that my new archaeologist was gonna do. So the reason why I dodged the target here is just so I can go out and around and get it later. I think once it's done surveying, we're gonna assign this guy to archaeology. Oh, it's got to be in my territory, I forgot. Okay, survey speed seems to be the best chance here. A new age of exploration is upon us. As we once mapped the surface of our homeworld, we must now brave the new terrain, space. There is a galaxy full of wonder waiting to be discovered. Yeah, I mean, it's the reason I picked a tiny map, but I did also pick the random generation in terms of the number of empires, so it's possible that there's only a handful of other players. So, you know, for all I know, the AI's basically just taken over everything here. But I'm not going to complain about it. I mean, I'm maybe not so oriented towards story and building that I would get the full experience by playing a zero-player Stellaris game, but I'm really close to that kind of guy. I think we're still waiting on my guys to come in and excavate. We might only do like one chapter, but I do kind of want to see how this turns out. So, looks like we got an energy deficit. Alright, the doorway. What can only be described as a dimensional portal has been discovered in a remote location on Kavevi Prime. Weather prediction algorithms noticed a strange air current, which was eventually determined to be caused by a slight leakage of atmosphere into the portal. The rate of loss is too far small to make any difference for life on Kavevi Prime, but the very existence of this portal raises some disturbing questions, such as where does it lead to, and could something come through the portal from the other side? Special projects, probe the dimensional portal on Covfefe Prime and add portal research area to Covfefe Prime. Okay. I'm sure this is going to destroy all my plans. I can never remember. Right. Dimensional portal research job +1. Hang on. I can never remember how this mechanic works. Oh, right. +1 per 40. Okay. 55 months, and in order to do so, I would be giving up at a minimum quantum theory. Okay, I'm kind of willing to give up quantum theory on this one. The thing is, I just don't know what comes out on the other side. So in this case, I will grudgingly continue researching quantum theory for now. So we're definitely in need of some manpower on Covfefe Prime.
System survey complete.
Nope, this guy's not doing anything because I can't get him to excavate. Let's get back to business. Something like that. I might change the path later, but I think it's kind of obvious if I'm going to expand, I'm going to expand down here. And then if I wanted to sew up the sector, this is kind of a natural choke point down here. The problem is defending on the right-hand side. So grabbing this guy, I suppose grabbing this guy and this guy would be the priority. Although this doesn't seem to go anywhere, so really grabbing this guy, well, these are basically the same. Yeah, I don't quite have enough. Depending on these, this might get me a lot, but I have a feeling that these expand out. So as far as expansion goes south, this should be a pretty high priority. And then this one's a little bit of a mess, but it's basically just because the number of jobs has gone up over time. But as far as, it's just because it's job-based, and so much of my physics research is now coming from stations. So, there's significant scarring on the surface of this world in a pattern that cannot be natural. From orbit, the massive rifts look almost like writing. So it's basically like any technology that I handle. Like, I don't have any techs that, I don't have any texts that I say are useless, and with the exception of maybe just something like research speed +5, it really depends what I'm giving up. So, you know, if I had the quantum theory and I had a +5 research instead, obviously the +5 is better because it applies to everything. So at the moment, physics is just one of these things that in terms of my empire, I'm not generating that much. I suppose maybe now that I've got the black hole, or the portal thing, it's a little more valuable to me. But social research is definitely a higher priority just because that % base bonus goes a little bit further. Of course, the social research also wouldn't be a physics research one either. So, alien writing. Someone used a mining laser from orbit approximately 5,000 years ago to carve a large body of writing into the surface of Milistamu 4. The massive script covers a large portion of the planet's upper hemisphere and appears to be a short story chronicling the difficult life of an alien mercenary. Because I needed more social research. This is what I'm giving up excavation for. I am already half an hour past the time I wanted to finish. I am also fading pretty fast, so if I don't get to the artifact mining, please forgive me. I will be back with this game for a proper stream at the proper time on Monday. I'm also kind of going off the rails because I'm losing energy and consumer goods. I'm probably going to have to wind up building consumer goods factories on all my extra colonies, but that's obviously going to take me a while because 25% pop growth speed still doesn't mean instantaneous growth.
Construction complete.
Okay. E10 Stella is definitely a high priority as far as choke points go. Had I been thinking this guy would have gone out and would have gone one spot further just to be able to secure me that extra one, but I'm not gonna abandon an expedition, and I'm not gonna redirect this ship just to head out there. At some point I want to put a ship on this, but I think we'll wait for the month to turn over. Oh, it already did, so we'll add another ship to my list. We're kind of catching up to where I think I would have normally been without. Again, so this guy's probably going to stall out after he builds up the infrastructure in E10 Stella, but that's fine because I could potentially just buy myself a little more time by moving him into this region. Obviously, Chilban is an attractive enough target to want to expand out to it, and it also brings me close to another choke point. What else were we building? Right, that was my ship.
System survey complete.
Okay, not too worried about that. This is a reasonable enough place to sort of hold on to for now. I want a slightly better idea in terms of what the rest of the area looks like. And again, a lot of these decisions are things I'm not going to have to live with for too long. And all right. Got 44 days to see what's going on. So excavation log 2217-430. Phase results, clues gained 1, result 9, roll 9, clues 0, skill bonus, difficulty 3. Okay, so it does help to have higher skill. Failure results 5 or less, add 0. 0 to clues. Between 6 to 10, add 1 clue, and between 11 to 13, add 2 clues. Ah, okay. This is kind of neat. I don't know what the roll is out of, though.
Construction complete.
Okay, this reflects the chance your scientist is making a breakthrough during the excavation of the current site. Every time a phase ends, a dice of 1 to 10 is rolled. The results of the roll are added to the skill bonus and clues and then subtracted by the difficulty. Roll outcomes, 20% result is 5 or less, adds 0 clues, 50% results between 6 to 10, adds 1 clues, 30%, the results between 11 to 13, result is 14 or greater, and finishes the chapter. And I'm assuming that's like after all of the rolls.
System survey complete.
That's a really neat way of implementing archaeology. So it's kind of like, I like that. I don't have a really good way of saying this right now. I sort of like how you have a shot if you've got a low skill character, and it just means that you need to spend a whole lot of time on it. But your high skill characters are probably going to give you a little bit more to work with. I don't know. It feels like a neat way of doing this. I kind of want to see what the end result is. But I'll be honest with you, like, I knew there were artifacts, obviously, but the excavation mechanic kind of seems it seems neat. It seems like one I want to pursue for a bit, so, good for it. I suppose it's the headline feature. I guess it can't afford to be boring, but I didn't know what to expect, so that's kind of fun. I have no idea what it'll get me in terms of, say we're pretty steadily getting 1. I guess I should think a little bit about this. So if the expected value is 5, so we didn't have any clues then. We had 4 clues here. So the more clues we get, the better a chance that we have. Oh, wow. Yeah, this is pretty neat. So it's not just that you start off with a certain difficulty. Like, you start off with a certain difficulty of the dig itself, which you can offset with the skill of your scientist. But as you continue to progress, it seems that it becomes easier to do. So we went from 4. We've got 6 clues right now, so presumably we do the die roll that will add 6 to that roll. So the difficulty basically just cancels it out. And at this point, even though we got the lowest roll that we possibly could, we still wound up with one. We still wound up with 1 clue because our progress is already so high. So I suppose there might be. It doesn't say if you abandon everything. I wonder if there's a strategy in place where
construction complete.
You get your A-game scientist to do the first few rounds to neutralize the difficulty. Then you bring somebody from the B team to finish the job. Not sure. We're definitely not doing the full excavation tonight, but. This has a few surprises. This is kind of neat. Again, I'm assuming a lot of you probably know a little bit more about this than I do, but some of the fun that I have of this is learning about it by playing rather than
anomaly found.
Than reading about it. Our sensors indicate odd irregularities in Gigawana C's energy emission pattern. And I'm really debating about whether or not I need to build another ship. I don't think I can justify building another...
research complete.
Another Corvette. Alright, exploring the mediation of fundamental forces through subatomic particles. So now I guess I can go for... Well, I mean, the survey speed is the obvious choice here. So automatic exploration... We get another 2,500, or sorry, it's the lowest of the cost bonuses to survey speed, so we can kind of catch up on the slower progress that we had before. And if I want, I can do automatic exploration, although I have a feeling I'm still going to be manually moving the ships around, because that's just the way I normally play. At some point, I am going to need to figure out what I'm doing with consumer goods. Energy is going to solve itself once Kofevi Prime actually becomes sort of self-sustaining. I think the way this is going to wind up being fixed is I'm going to Well, first of all, I'm going to put all my points into energy. Probably each of these planets are going to wind up with a pattern very similar to the home planet, which is they're going to have sort of like one research building, one alloy building, one commercial goods or civilian industries building, a temple. I may not repeat the commercial zone. And then what I might wind up doing is just on the basis of some kind of demand. So like obviously not every planet is going to need a civilian industries. Not every planet is going to need an alloy foundry. So I'm going to prioritize things like temples and probably research, because just because I'm playing spiritualist doesn't mean research doesn't mean anything. What I'd probably do would be like prioritize temples and research ahead of time. But of course, because I have a deficit of consumer goods, I would focus on at least one civilian industry on one planet first, and then we'd move into research. The only thing that doesn't work about that is there's really no way I'm going to wind up with negative alloys, so I probably need to say the priorities would be like temple research and alloys, and then civilian industries as needed. Star patterns. The latest sensory readings from Gagawa C showed the star pulsating regularly, but when the crew of the GLB Adlog arrived on site, there was no evidence to support the data. While most of the crew are in agreement that the anomaly was caused by a sensory malfunction, Science Officer Tarush discards this theory. Tarush claims to have discovered similar pulsating energy emission patterns elsewhere, and now fears that something strange is happening to the galaxy's stars. They have charted a course to the nearest affected star. Let's get to the bottom of this.
Research complete. Anomaly found.
Colossal impact crater hints that something big collided with the surface of this moon once. Okay. Sapient races have been reclaiming swampland for thousands of years. A coordinated system of modular aqua products, pump stations, chemical remediation, crawlers, and automated soil compactors can reclaim land at unprecedented speeds. Well, I did say that getting rid of glaciers was the top priority, so that's true to my word. And of course, it helps that he's got the new world skills. So, archaeological site event pending. Something has happened on one of the archaeological sites that we are currently excavating. Preliminary excavations indicate that the celestial object came straight down on top of a sprawling city. At the time of the impact, the inhabitants were at a technological level on par with early spaceflight. As Bigel C1 currently does not sustain any sapient species, it is reasonable to assume that the event was the beginning of the end of this civilization. It is unclear whether the giant rock landed smack on top of the city by design, or if it is just a bizarre, catastrophic accident. Keep digging. Minor artifacts found 3. Okay, so that seems to be the big benefit out of this. And this is a much easier chapter, so in this case, if our expected value is 5, we expect to basically be getting a 2 clues every we expect to be getting like 2 clues every roll, but that will be saved for another time. This is pretty cool. Again, this was not a very deep playthrough. This was sort of me trying to make up for, having a late night at work. So for those of you who are new to the stream and such, I normally cast 7 to 10 Eastern. I finished work at 10. I got home probably closer to 11. I needed to get food at the beginning of the cast, and just generally this was a little bit more loose than I normally like to do. But if you do want to see some more, Stellaris, I definitely do Paradox games every Monday. That's pretty much dedicated unless there's some Canadian holiday or other thing that gets in the way. We do Cultist Simulator pretty regularly on Wednesdays, and that's also usually more popular on YouTube as well, so there's a lot of archives there. And of course, because it's the early period with the new Stellaris DLC, I will probably be doing some more casts than I normally do, but it's always safe to say Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 7 p.m. to usually around 10 or 11, and I'll be doing a bunch of extra casts in order to show off the new DLC. For my first like proper cast that I'm doing of this. This was again kind of kicking the tires. I used one of the base races, so we used, where did you go? These handsome fellas. Next stream, I'm actually going to take the time to properly build one of my own species. Some people love that. Just to give you an idea of the sort of stuff that we've done in the past, every single one of the species that we've played previously doesn't just have a backstory, it's got a fairly well thought out little backstory. And so this has always kind of been the big... with each new DLC that comes out, there's always been kind of an opportunity to, try something new and to add to this little universe that we've been creating. And I definitely don't feel that that this new patch should be any different. By the way, patch name Wolf version 2.3.0. So yes, if you'd like to see more, that'll probably be happening, if I can, tomorrow. But the best way to find that out is Twitter. I usually announce before that's going out. But before I go too far, let's just take a look and see if there's anybody I know streaming tonight. Obviously, if you're looking for more Stellaris, you can take a quick look at the game tab. I don't know how many people I know who play Stellaris anymore. Let's just take a quick look. I actually don't know how many of these people are playing Ancient Relics. All right, folks. This is going to be a little disappointing for some of you. It is nice to be able to pass on, especially to people who are doing the new DLC, because I know that's what everybody's looking for. I don't actually know who is doing it, though. So I'm going to have to leave you to your own devices if you are here primarily for Stellaris. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to host a guy called Kilgore Trout. Now, he is a fellow Canadian. I met him through the GOG stream team. One of the things that's really cool about Kilgore Trout is that he plays a lot of games that he really enjoyed when they first came out, and so it's a way that I can sort of live vicariously through some of his the enthusiasm that he has for these games, and sort of to be able to look at some of these things that I would otherwise overlook. Really friendly streamer, and it is worth mentioning. Oh, so first of all, he's got a great taste in movies. I'm also a movie buff, so we seem to have common tastes. But one of the things that I kind of like to do to recommend him in terms of, I don't know, a little bit of touting or advertising, Kilgore Trout is one of the people who have became a partner sort of at the time when Twitch really cranked up the requirements for doing so. And it's very easy to see why if you hang out for a little bit. So again, I know some of you are only here for Stellaris, and for that I encourage you to click the game button. If you can find somebody to take a look at Ancient Relics, great. Unfortunately, I don't have any indication as to who's doing that. But as far as Kilgore is concerned, I'd love it if you guys could hang out with him for a little while, see if it's your kind of thing. It's always nice to be able to pass it on to somebody worthwhile. So hope you guys have a good evening, and we'll see you next time.